Yes, hear me now, infidels. That's right. 6:15 p.m. Twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horsemen. And by the end of this show, you might slash your wrist if we tell you to, if you're in the cult of the Conspiracy Horsemen or the Hamian Army, because it's all about the mind control and how to control people to do what you want in a mass group and make them worship you like they'll all soon worship us over at the Discovery Channel and the Science Channel, infidels. That's right. You will bow before us, and we will take over, because tonight it's in the studio in the Udio with who you know, Ben Digi, Big Sal, Stevie Coolio, and looks like GGP's here with the running infidels. It's time to go as we talk about cults tonight here on the Conspiracy Horsemen. YOLO. Hey guys, what's good? Glad to be back. It's going to be an interesting show. I think we got a lot of gears and topics to hit and switch on, so we're back. Looks like I got to redo the names because we were having a little technical difficulties before we went on, but I think I can hear him. So I'll kick it right over to my tag team partner, Dynasty Tag Team Champion, hot from New York City, the Rap Committee. Get busy. What's going on, GGP?
What's going on, everybody? Can you hear me now?
You sound beautiful, man. Way better than before.
How's my mic? My voice is okay?
Excellent. A+.
All right, because I shaved today, but then I went to go buzz my beard, and by accident I grabbed the wrong clip, and I buzzed my beard a little too low.
That was tight.
So, yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to look old, but it's okay. How's everyone today?
Good, man.
I shaved my beard, too. What are you trying to say?
Yeah, shit. What a cunt.
I was just busting your balls, brother. That's why I saw your video the other day you put out. That was good stuff. Everyone should go check out your video at on YouTube, SRFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFFF
search that name. Unless you're in Stanford.
Well, there he is. You know it, the man himself, getting people in shape for the 2019 Stevie. How's it going, bro?
Everything's great. We're coming off another popular Master Shoot Theater, and we might actually have a Master Shoot Theater expansion going on, and we'll talk about that probably at the end of the show. So don't go anywhere unless you want to. Unless you're so depressed about the subject we're talking about, then you're allowed to. You're excused.
Yeah, unless
you can go slash your wrists at the end of the show.
Yeah, ask your cult leader first if you're allowed to.
Here we go at another page of disclaimers for the next program.
That's right.
Stevie wants you to go slash your wrist at the end of the show.
And the king of the conspiracy horseman cult, the man himself, Big Sal Allah, who we all bow down to and everybody looks up to. Sally Balls, how's it going, bro?
Oh man, it's going. And it's Stevie popped me right before we came back on. He went in the room, in the chat room. He writes #spacewalk.
That's what I was gonna say, dude. You say, "Oh, it's going good." Before we go on air, Sal is legit doing his own version of "I want to watch the world burn" from Batman, but he wants to do it from the face of the moon while the Earth implodes behind him, which I thought is a beautiful visual. If I'm gonna be, done with it, that'd be one of the last things. If I saw it, I'd be like, "I had a good run, bro."
Well, no, I need you guys to film it as I do the slow walk through space as it blows up behind me. So we need Stevie with the space gimbal, and you'd have to
space gimbal. Yeah, man. Greek. God, we got your brother in the house. Triple D just cheered us 200 bits, so say something nice to him in Greek.
Γεια σου μεγάλε. Όλα εντάξει. Χρόνια πολλά. Έχουμε καλή χρονιά.
All right, that's enough. No. That's enough. That's good. We know. We get.
He's practicing for Arab Emirates Wrestling.
Yeah, that's right. He's getting ready, bro, for AEW.
Triple D told me that he wanted to watch the world burn too. So, but instead of being on the moon, he wants to do a Greek style. He wants to go on Uranus.
Oh boy.
Boom.
Ooh, that's what that burning was.
Where the olive oil comes in right about.
That's what I'm saying. He's got that new olive oil brand. Get rid of any anal burning that you got going on back there. Just don't get near a lit flame with it after you've applied.
Hey, I shouldn't be the only one with disclaimers on their product. Let's fucking build this one up too.
Wait a minute. Somebody wanted to know. They just logged in and they heard Papadon speaking Klingon, so they wanted to know. When did he switch over to Star Trek? Nothing? Wow.
No.
Tough fucking.
I did this little one the other day. I'm
not even from Stevie, the fucking other Star Trek guy.
I just smiled approvingly.
You guys no-sold this in the chat. Look at that Luke Skywalker print, right? I'm going to do one, I think. This is small, right? Not very big at all. But you can blow it up 500-600%.
Now, we're doing that 3D printing. What about, you have to fill it in with colors and stuff like that. Does the printing do that?
Well, I only have a single filament to do now, so I can only do like layers. But that's kind of the big thing for the spring is a 4-color. They're already out now, but it's going to become cheaper and more efficient. A 4-color print head nozzle, so you will be able to do that. And what it does is makes like every time it has to clear the nozzle head to do a color, it makes a block on the side. So people are working on plans so it can do like, say I wanted to print out more brass knuckles and I didn't give a shit that they weren't all black or all white. So I can use that scrap material to print side projects I don't give a shit about. And meanwhile, I can print those, you know, those busts you guys like of Wolverine or whatever in full color instead of having to paint them later. So it's going to be a pretty interesting spring with new 3D printing technology because it's become so cheap. It's awesome. GGP, we lost you again, man. I don't hear you. No.
Also, it wasn't that he wasn't putting me over. It was just that his mic was the shit.
Yeah.
All right.
I think you got a blown USB port, whatever one you got it plugged into, because that's what was happening to me back in the days of WrestleZone.
That's a shame because Cody's a huge fan of
can't.
USB ports that work. This is fucking not good.
He gives them the wow. You can hear him. Wow.
I can't hear anything. It doesn't seem like he's not arguing. He's completely agreeing with me.
Dirty Turnbuckle in the chat room. Good to see you. Appreciate all the GIF work. Always keeps us popping. We're doing cults tonight, you guys. Hopefully GGP can get his audio fixed so he can join because I'm sure he's got plenty of points that will be very interesting in the conversation.
Just do this. Just unplug it, the thing, hang up, and then plug it back in. Then call back on Skype, or we'll call you back in a couple minutes. That's probably what happened.
Yeah.
Probably disconnected as a source.
So he'll be right back, you guys. But so the main ones, you know, that kind of get bandied around, or I guess maybe they're more from our childhood and teenage years. So maybe, you know, new millennials don't know much about some of the ones we're going to mention tonight. But we wanted to talk about the Jonestown massacre, Jim Jones cult, and or I guess in ECW, the Jeff Jones cult. You guys can talk about that one later. The Hale Bop Comet cult, and some other the new Nexium sex cult that's not too far down the road from where I am actually. And I'm sure we've got a couple others to fill in, some cool news stories and stuff. So if you guys got anything to share, you need to fact check us, and you want to bring up any of that information, please feel free if you're on a desktop or whatever at home, and just to play along. And if you're in the chat room, you're one of the cool kids at twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horsemen. Appreciate the bits. I see people throwing over there, and they even put "that's 50" behind it from Citizen Slim, so you didn't have to count them, Stevie.
I'm not going to. I refuse.
So you know, I think the biggest
Is he
one.
mad, by the way? Do you think he's
I don't
mad?
know. He's his head's.
He got a little annoyed at that.
There you go.
I can guarantee you that the Bullet Club is not listening to the Conspiracy Horsemen.
Well,
I think we're okay.
I heard Jericho was going to have a USB that didn't work next week on his show.
Wait, let me see. I'm going to hold up my special device that listens to podcasts.
Please calibrate that. Calibrate your special infrared device.
How's it
That'll
go?
never get old.
The first one I think we wanted to talk about was Jones cult, but we do have a fair amount of news stories that kind of came through this week. Is there anything you guys want to cover before we dive into the world of cults? So waiting for this guy to come back.
You guys are more up to date with this real world than I am. I stay away from it as much as possible.
the one you want to destroy.
Yes.
I would say this, that, you know, it's amazing. Like, we're going to talk about these cults that are probably really famous and seem very fringe and everything. But I think throughout this entire episode, as you're listening or watching here at twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horsemen, just know the foundation of all things, pretty much talking about political parties, talking about all religions. I will include the Catholic religion, Christianity, all these religions, all these groups, any kind of, I would say, tribal type stuff where people need to belong to a group. That's when these guys, girls, people, they get their claws in and they can manipulate. And some of the stuff you're going to hear is pretty friggin' goofy, but no goofier than the people that blindly follow a Democrat or a Republican or a conservative or a liberal, all these other labels that make it basically a cult.
Or a wrestling show.
We're done now, man.
Could you?
Good thing I'm retired.
I've said from the jump, man. Paul was borderline cultish.
Yeah, absolutely.
He had people follow him doing stupid shit for no money, for free. They paid to do his shit.
And that these are the themes that you're going to say over and over again, and that's why it does fit that profile. Not just because I'm the cult of ECW and it's fun to say that or whatever. No, there was real mind manipulation methodology applied to not just the staff, but the fans as well in different ways in order to stay on top and be evasive while retaining power. And that's really at the root of the it of what most of these characters we're going to talk about tonight are.
And none of those traits were used this past Monday night in this promo.
None of them. None of them. Yeah, it does seem like someone like the dog who just doesn't do the tricks anymore. Like it's like, remember what this guy used to do? Yeah, well, he's there now. He's not doing anything to. I mean, think about how innovative he was and captivating, and now it's just the mail it in every week, same old shit. Really, that he mocked at one time to cash a check. You know, and I'm sure you guys can speak to that far better than I can. I was on the fan side where you guys were in the other side. How did that work of mind manipulation in those locker room promos where week after week guys, you know, are guffawing under their breath about no paychecks, but they're still going out there and doing what they are told to do or asked or pushing the limits even past what they're beyond to do just to say, get an attaboy afterwards.
Or just I'll show loyalty today, and you know there's also side shit going on where somebody went up and said, hey, can I get this? And, oh yeah, man, we'll take care of you that way. All done on the sly, but in the locker room was, oh, I didn't get paid either, but somebody got a little extra over here, or somebody got this over there, somebody got that over there, just to keep everybody happy, but nobody compared notes.
Who was the one who had to be that second tier underling to slide envelopes without doing that? Who you can stooge? Was it Tommy? Was it Bubba? Was it who?
Yeah, well, it wasn't. It didn't even have to be one of them. It was people would go to Tommy, and you Tommy is Tommy,
right?
So the same way he is now, Tommy, I really need this. All right, let me go look. I'll find out. And then he walked off like that. That was it. He didn't have to do anything.
Your dreamer voice is so scary good.
He didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. Like I said,
right.
It's just no. It's the fact that none of those guys had to do that shit, and it was the Debbies and the speak ill of the dead, but whatever. It was all those guys who, I'll take care of this. I'll take care of this. I'll take care of this.
Right.
So, and again, it comes down to nobody compared notes because nobody wanted to ever find out if somebody was making more than them or less than them in public. On the down low on the kayfabe, everybody, had to find out, but nobody wanted to know in public. Nobody wanted that outed.
Right. Right.
So everything was kept quiet.
Perception is reality when they
right.
think you're doing that, and really you're leaving with less money than the fans are, possibly.
Yeah. And the guys who didn't complain were the guys who didn't complain for a reason. The guys who weren't publicly nobody publicly bitched, but the guys who weren't bitching to the boys were guys who didn't need to.
Right.
So.
Stevie, any other stories you want to cover before we get into it, or we'll just stick with cults here, or anything you want to add to that, please?
No, that was kind of after my time. I had already done WCW, had my neck surgery, ended up in WWE, so I didn't.
Yeah, Stevie wasn't talking to us at this.
Yeah,
point.
there was. Well, I was trying to talk to you, Sal. You just wouldn't answer. The thing with that too is I wasn't. If my checks back when I was in the BWO or before that were bouncing, the company was as good as dead then. So
yeah.
Like I wasn't getting paid. I'm sure the guys were getting severely underpaid after I left, but no, I mean I wasn't getting much money at all. And Paul, from what I hear from Tommy and CW and a few other guys, and Sal could probably back it up or refute it, is it was kind of like the boys were just running the company. Like Paulie wasn't exactly an on-site owner of the company. He was very much an absentee owner for the last.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. So Tommy was running the company.
That's kind of maybe one of the best things, right? Because you got the guys that don't have to be chased around and answered to. they got to go and run and check for the big answers. But when it comes to running the show, it's just the boys having fun and doing the best business possible. That's kind of nice. But a shout out to the chat room. I see a lot of people are joining. Appreciate you guys for cheering bits tonight and being back in action. We're at 47 right now, live in the chat room. So appreciate all you guys from all over the world, from Louisville to Australia to Canada. I know we got them all in here. To the mean streets of Atlanta. Yeah. Let's see here. So the first one we're talking about is Jim Jones. And one thing I wanted to point out about all these people we're going to talk about tonight, to me, this is just, we say there's no coincidence, but they all seem to have something wrong or different, not wrong, but different with their face or their eyes. Like they all seem to have like this plastic face or look to them when I was watching them today.
Here you go. If you watch Jim Jones.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Jim Jones was a bug-eyed fucking lispy putz.
Right.
Like, if you were to see him, you'd be like, yeah, really? You're going to lead people? But that's the thing. Those are the guys who have that, again, not to be cliche, but those are the cult of personality. Those are the guys who, they know what to say to the disenfranchised, to the, he was in religion his whole life. Now, and this is not a slam against Stevie. I'm not trying to bust his balls. He was involved in religion, not for, he could give a fuck about religion. Jim Jones was involved in the hellfire and brimstone shit as he grew up.
Right.
Because he was like, look at all of these fucking people. And he realized he was going to get the respect. He was going to get the power. He was going to get the pussy. That's what he was doing. And for a lispy, bug-eyed fucking Jim Jones looking dude,
yeah,
he had it. Like, he was just there, man. He had the shit. He knew what to say. He knew the bullet points. And then people look at him, and no matter who you are, if you're some kind of a fucking hair-lipped mutant, and you're up there and you're spitting, you're just going and letting your shit go, and people, and you connect with one person, they go, oh fuck, if this guy, yeah, he knows what he's talking about. And he's not superficial. He's not a real handsome guy. He doesn't have a lot of money. I believe him because he must be just telling me from the heart.
Sure.
So you look at these guys and you're just like, wow, okay. And now you start listening a little harder because you're saying, well, if he's not trying to make money, he's not trying to get laid, well, obviously he must be telling me the truth because he has no ulterior motive except to help me find, insert what you're looking for, God, friends, love, money, power, whatever you need.
Yeah, that's a beautiful point, because that's another big part of this is the followers and how do you hook them and how do you provide. All of those needs are fundamental or what have you, but it is that at the end of the day, how am I fulfilling what each individual person is looking for in their vision quest or what have you. GGP, Mike, check me real quick. You good?
Yes.
Yeah, excellent. What did you look up anything on Jim Jones in the Jones call today? You want to kick off? We're just kind of starting the conversation.
I did look him up. I didn't really get a chance to deep dive with the whole scenario, but just from a top side level view, it was just one giant work, just like every other cult out there.
Sure.
I mean, it's no different than a kid who can't get booked, and he starts his own wrestling promotion, books himself in the main event as champ,
and have a night out of this.
Oh wow! Fucking throw it back.
Why the fuck would you bring him up?
Right, and then same difference. You know what I mean? So
now, let me ask a question, flat out. What's the difference between a cult and a religion?
Religion don't pay taxes. So that's an honest answer.
No, but that's if a cult is smart enough and the guy works it right, neither do they.
It might be because I think a cult, it could be one of two ways. Whoever's lobbying and has the money to put up PR to basically paint them as a cult, and then whoever has the money to lobby and have the PR to paint themselves as a religion, whether they're going to prop themselves up or put others down.
I think all you're talking about is franchising.
Right.
They have better franchising.
Look at Anton Lavey. Okay. Now let me just throw this out. So Satanism. Okay. Satan has been around for how many centuries? The devil, Satan, whatever you want to call him, has been around since as long as God has, at least 1,000 years, according to the Bible. So Anton Lavey showed up in the 60s and made this shit up. He was a showman, and he showed up and went, well, if you donate this much money, you are a grand tier. You are one of the big ones. And everybody went, oh, yeah, me. And all these celebrities showed up and fucking tits out and were like fucking throwing money and everybody swinging cocks and coke parties. And it was all said and done. And this guy's a genius. So now he's a published author. The guy is like the father of a religion.
Same. You could say that exact same thing you just said and take Anton Lavey's name out and put in L. Ron Hubbard.
Right.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah, and when it comes to Jim Jones, and again, both those guys that you just mentioned have that weird something ain't right with that boy's fucking eyes and plastic face look to him, dude.
Let's go back to high school. Let's go back to our high school fucking frat party, and you saw one of these dudes stand. Let's pull L. Ron Hubbard, Jim Jones, Anton Lavey. Let's put them all in a corner.
Right.
Who was getting fucking swirly that night?
All three.
You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So come on, man. But these guys were the most powerful, influential people in a religious sense. And what turned from cults became what they are. Kingdoms. Yeah. They're kingdoms now.
So the big thing, I mean, they all have different models. And you kind of touched on it without calling it that for Church of Satan, which was kind of what a very similar model is to
Levian Satanism.
And the Nexia model, which is multi-level marketing to recruit new people, pyramid scheme. Whereas Jim Jones in his cult, Jonestown it was Guyana, right, in South America. He was very religious, tried to build it up that way, didn't go, but inspirational, and like you said, knew how to connect to evangelicals and a lot of and a massive speed freak, pillhead as well. So just where's this energy coming from and all that time, and that's probably why I had sunglasses on when you see him most of the time. But sorry, I lost my train of thought. The big thing that for him to convince people to follow him came afterwards, because he kind of failed, and they always have this like bounce back where they got a taste of power. And now they're going to take it from their religion and make it about them in a megalomaniac, narcissistic, psychopath kind of way. That's another key component. Go ahead, Sal.
And they always throw in that little bit of self-deprecation. They throw in that little, I'm nobody. I'm just a vessel. I'm just the voice. I'm just the hand. I'm just somebody, not the big guy.
Yeah.
I'm not the guy you should be looking at. I'm just his voice.
I'm
just
the conduit.
here to tell you. Right. I'm here to tell you what he's thinking.
And that's Mormonism, 100%. Let me go
and all they do, and everybody goes, oh, he's not trying to say don't worship him.
Yeah.
Worship someone else, but listen to what he's saying.
Right.
And so
I'll say really, really quick, though, the thing that is interesting, and I think it gets glossed over because the other stuff is so horrendous and so out there, is the fact that in the 50s, when he started, it was 2 names before it was the People's Temples. In 55, this guy's trying to start a church with racial diversity.
Yes.
So he sort of became at least in the African American community, a huge baby face.
First
and that's
rainbow
why he was
family.
Able to go where he wanted to go. I think 20 some years later to do that, he had cachet and capital. And then when society kind of caught up a little bit, or people that wanted that racial diversity found that he was different than any other religion out there. That's what I think was the big selling point. People like, man, this guy is brave to do this in the 50s. He's really a good guy.
Yeah. He was singing Brown Sugar before that even was on the top 10 charts for sure. And he adopted a black son who even has his name in the documentary I was watching. Was given really great promos and taking on what actually happened, which we'll get to. The one point I wanted to make is we talked about the multi-level marketing. Jim Jones's model was more of utopian socialism, all colors, his own family. Like Sal said, look at me, here's this, and we can all live together. If you get rid of your house, all your assets, and we're all moving to Guyana, and we're going to start this utopian society. And, it seemed to be working on the surface, but then the truths of abuse, sexual and physical, start to work their way out, especially if you're dealing with a speed freak who's trying to clear jungle and build a socialist society. And then it all goes wrong when Senator Ryan, I believe, shows up.
No, that's the one that's still alive. This is
Yeah.
let me
Leo,
see.
Leo Ryan kicked it. Yeah, he was like,
I thought it was Paul Ryan.
No, Leo Ryan.
Right.
Yeah, Leo.
Yeah.
He's the one. He's like, I'll take the shot. I'll go.
So they head down there, hearing
There you go.
that people
Nailed
want
it.
to leave, and he actually convinces 15 people to leave this Jonestown society with him after being interviewed. And those, I guess, who had their doubts or were abused, and it's starting to come to the surface. So they get all the way back to the plane, and 2 trucks roll up with guys from the Jonestown settlement and just open up on them, killing the senator and 3 others. And I believe there was 2 survivors.
And I'll be honest, I really think the senator got hit by accident. I
Yeah.
really do. Like, it happened nonetheless, and it's like, oh, fuck.
I don't say by accident. Maybe how do you getting hit by accident is a gun like going off while you're cleaning it. If someone rolls up in a Bronco and wields a rifle at you and you get hit, it's not really an accident.
Well, when I say accident, I mean the fact that he was probably like, you know what, scare him back towards base, and the dude was like, blah blah. Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
well, I mean,
oh, it's okay. We probably hit. Oh, the senator.
you're talking attempted murder versus murder. It's right there.
But on his island, who gives a fuck?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what were they going to do?
His island of South
island.
America.
Guyana. That was his.
Yeah.
Fantasy Island.
Yeah.
His spot.
Welcome.
GGP, would you have left for socialism in Guyana if you could have unlimited wives and live in the jungle?
GGP would have been shot the first hour of the first sermon where it's like, nobody can go to the bathroom. He would have got up and would have shot him.
So, after this big shooting goes down at the plane, they're obviously...
Didn't even answer your question.
He said no.
I said no.
Oh,
Thanks for listening.
what a great interview. I'm not look forward to your 2-minute and 12-second shoot interview coming out
All right.
soon. Full
Time
of
out.
yeses
So
and nos.
Let me say. So, would you rather go to Guyana and fuck all the wives you wanted, or have a chip put in?
Guyana. I would never have a chip put in me at all.
He knows the finish of both is similar.
Yeah.
Actually. So like, what are you gonna do?
So after they shoot these son of a bitches on the runway, pretty much, as they're trying to leave, they hustle back to the camp, and everyone's shitting their pants. And it's like Sal might have said, "Oh, dude, they didn't mean to shoot him. They shot him. They know now the unholy hell of the FBI and the military are about to come down on them."
Fuck it.
So there's recording of Jim Jones saying, "You've lived all the life you're gonna live. What else do you need?" Pretty much. And
Have you heard that recording, man? Like,
yeah.
Okay, I could take a lot of shit. I could listen to stuff and kind of laugh it off. That was brutal, man.
That was strong.
like strong, like real big.
Yeah.
Because, like there's certain shit we've all I've watched a lot of fucking horror movies, and I've watched some dirty, dirty shit, and just listening to that and just put yourself automatically in that spot.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah,
you're like,
it's the liver dime.
fuck.
Yeah.
Am I a bad person because I
Yes.
thought about
Yeah,
I thought about it. I
definitely.
thought about it as they were doing the sweeping shot, and you hear him over the loudspeaker and everything, actually taking the audio out and then putting Paulie's speech from Barely Legal when he's on the steps. This is the dance.
I seriously thought about that. I thought about but see, I wasn't as creative as yours. I was just gonna take that and do it with a lisp like Jim Jones would. So I was like, this is the dance, and just go on. But then I was like, it sounds too much like Dusty doing it, and
Yeah.
that would have been really disrespectful.
This
I
is
don't want to
just
go.
it's a 10-second switch.
I think we
off,
need to
not
cut.
a
I think
final
we
cut.
do need to. Somebody needs to cut that in from Barely Legal, you guys, and the Jim Jones footage. I think that's a dirty turnbuckle job, but whoever wants
Can
to
we
get to
just
it.
can we just have the people in the back going, oh, just
Well-
screaming in the back while Paul's doing it?
Actually, as it's going on, I'll play all the audio of clips people recounting the pay-per-view too.
Okay.
The transformer almost blew, and then that's the shot of the runway.
And when they're all dead on the ground, just put an EC Dub chant underneath. That'd be fucking
You
dope.
deserve it.
You deserve
fucked up.
it. You fucked
You
up.
fucked
See, magic. We're making magic here.
You had to be there to be this fucked up, by the way.
Okay, now I just want to say
Go ahead.
we're talking, and I'm looking. I have Twitch up, so I got Twitch up. And we're we're telling jokes, and I'm popping myself, and I look, and GGP is dead faced.
Yeah.
Because like we're like 3 seconds behind, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I want to yell at him, but then I realize we're 3 seconds behind.
Yeah, I keep my Skype right in front of it because it fucks with me too.
Quick question. Do you think I'll be invited back to the mayor's office after the show in Knoxville?
I think so.
You know what? The only person who would be less invited would be me.
Why is that? You're coming along with me.
Well, no, I'm going to tell the story about when. Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
So they go back to Jonestown after shooting the people, and Jim Jones cuts his promo and pretty much saying, all right, that's it. Life is over as we know it. Now, what I found interesting, I didn't know before this, and one of the things I watched today, so if you, what's coming up is the big death, but he had actually told people to drink poison before this, and they drank it, and he's like, haha, fooled you. I was just testing you to see if you're fucking dedicated.
He did it multiple times just to fuck with them.
Just to fuck with them. So then this time when it was Code Red, they fucking loaded up with cyanide in the fruit punch, and 900 people drank it, died. 300 of them are children, and there's evidence, plenty of evidence of hypodermic needles that they were holding people down
in the kid's mouth.
and shooting them down.
He says, help the elderly, help the young ones. Let them go first. And then people who were like, this was really cool in theory, but I'm out. And they were like, no, they're going to rape you. He told the women, they are going to rape you.
Yep.
And then he's like, the men, they're going to rape your woman in front of you and then shoot you in the face. Help your woman. Help her by making her take it, or help him. Help your elderly father, mother by taking it. Help the babies. Let them go first.
Domino, a murderer with a hands-off murderer, pretty much. And then what happens? How does this motherfucker go out? Shoots himself in the head
like a fucking bitch. Sweet nuggets in the room. This is true too. Son got a phone call before, like Joe. I guess Jones called him.
Yeah,
and he was like, "Yeah, make it happen." Meanwhile, that kid, his son, his mom, his wife and daughter, or I think his wife and mom were on the island with Jones. So he was like, no, don't, no, maybe we should hold off. And he was just like, nope, it's go time.
Jesus.
And it wasn't, I don't think it was from Jones. I thought it was from one of the aides that he gave the go to. He's like, call my son, tell him to go. And that's what that's how I thought it went. But regardless, that's.
But on this scale, the largest,
like a bitch and he shot himself.
The largest mass suicide massacre in, a legit domino effect of people committing murder based on what has to be the foundations of MK Ultra mind control. Yeah. GGP, that's a long way to go, man. What are you thinking?
Well, one way, form, shape, or other, human nature to be included in some sort of tribalism, whatever you want to call it. Someone wants to be part of something. You know what I mean? Whether it's Jim Jones clique, whether it's Haley Comic clique, whether it's, the Raw and SmackDown WWE universe, or it's Asgardia, or whatever the case may be.
Easy.
I'm just saying, it could be the CERN HR department,
Jedi
relations.
Jedis are cult.
Jedi, religion.
They were wrong cult.
Press conference in Jacksonville.
Yeah, that too. The AEW press conference, the fucking TNA, you want it? ECW fan base. Fucking forget about it. Everybody wants to be part of something. And at the end of the day, everybody wants to be sold. Everybody wants to be handed a bill of goods, whether it's for something tangible or some kind of belief. I don't know what it is. It's something within what's embedded in our DNA that we want to be told something. We want something to hit our internal like button to the point where we want to agree with it so much that we're willing to sacrifice our beliefs or sacrifice the way we were indoctrinated from our parents, from our schools, from our societies, from our governments to either rebel or conform to be part of something. So this is just one other faction in that situation.
And
you know what I mean?
It's interesting you say that because that was a big part, and we'll get to it, of the Nexium cult, is to go against. That guy was pretty smart in the way he said to address your own id, that voice inside. The questions why. That's what's really holding you back. So when he would ask him to do crazier shit, he was unwiring that natural sense of fight or flight, you know what I mean, or whatever it is, or desire and want, and taking it to a next level, because he's just taking down any block in your mind and making you feel that, hey, if something's telling me not to do this, that's what you need to eliminate, not the fact that you're not willing to go fucking she's hardcore or whatever the fuck, right? So go ahead, Sally.
Well,
go ahead.
we're doing it. We're doing it right now. To be honest with you, I don't know if you guys realize it or not, but for years we've all, been in this conspiracy, quote unquote, conspiracy theory bubble. We all, keep our ears to the ground. We're all, into the quote unquote no of free thought and enlightenment. Yet 5-10 years ago, we were being laughed at, or we didn't say much because we didn't want to be the guys in the locker room or in the conversation where people will look at you like you are wearing a tinfoil hat. But now we come together, we're satisfying our need to express the truth to the masses out there, to the people listening on Twitch, whoever else downloads and subscribes to this podcast. But at the end of the day, it's not a cult, but it satisfies that hunger.
Well, it's tribalism of coming together of like-minded thinkers.
That's exactly the point. It's tribalism, but at the same time, we're not telling them go out and, well, we are kind of telling them to go out and fuck with these people. If they're journalists, fucking sandbag them. Yeah, so we are kind of telling you to do that stuff. But you don't listen because Stevie still doesn't have a fucking camera. So the fact is, a good cult would have that by now.
Yeah.
Anyhow, the fact is...
At least two of them.
At least 2 cameras, but he has 0 cameras. So that's on you people. All of you. Fuck off.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening. But no, the fact is that it's tribalism because we want other people to understand how we're looking at something. Okay? We're not telling them, if you don't believe us, you're fucking wrong. You're going to die. If you don't believe us, the government is going to fuck your wife and shoot your dog. We're not telling them
that order.
Well, right, in that order. Yeah, we're not telling them that. We're telling them, hey, guys, look, let's look at this from a different angle. Let's look at them like this.
Yeah.
Hey, check this out.
Different
Maybe
angle.
check
A
this
different
out.
angle is fuck the dog and shoot the wife. That's how.
Right, exactly. Because you want to keep that dog alive. Because that dog's gonna be much cooler than their wife is. Anyhow, I digress. So no, the fact is, we're not trying to get anything from the listeners. Like, I don't want Armand. When I do, I seriously want Armand just to put a fucking bullet in his mouth. We're not trying to get him to do anything. We're sharing our thoughts with the guys, and whatever you guys think of it, whether you go like, oh, you guys are fucking idiots, or haha, you made me laugh, that's cool with us. We're okay with all of it. But a cult, it would be like, no, listen, if you don't believe in what we believe in, you're going to burn in hell, suffer a horrible life, be destroyed by the government. Pestilence will get you. There's a consequence to not listening to us. And there is. It's called stupidity. And if you want to live in stupidity, that's great. However, that's the difference. We're not trying to hurt anybody. And I think most of them start out that way. Most of them start out with, we're really just trying to help people. And then in the end, there we are all fucking, we better drink this because the government's coming. But, it's just one of those things where you don't start out.
They weren't looking for, like the other ones we're talking about have a bigger sense of enlightenment in answering, like, what happens to me afterwards. That, like I said, was more about, let's get away from society and live the human experience how it should be in their minds, you know what I mean, as brother and sister with no color limit. But that was interesting to me, and maybe it's because of where he was with the evangelicals, and this was always an interesting part of slavery to me, in the mind control of bringing slaves from Africa to America. And look how ingrained Christianity now is in black culture. Of everything, it's like the stereotype of what they are, pretty much of what New Day was originally supposed to be, like choir singers, right? That's what they were. I don't know what to tell you.
Relax. Continue with your fucking point.
But Jim Jones, man, that was a big part of his congregation was African American. So I wonder in the mind control way, why it is that population can keep getting fed and biting on things that are not no pun intended, native to what their real roots are. You know what I mean? It
Because
seems like that's
you have someone. Okay, you have somebody constantly, and it's not big bites. You're just constantly being hand fed small little bits, telling you what you're doing is right, what they're doing is wrong. Okay, so as that comes along, you don't realize that like what I'm doing is really fucked up, because that is your life. That is the cult's number one thing. That's why they have to go through brainwashing and basically debriefing when they kidnap people from cults.
Yeah, reprogramming.
Because you are told every day small little bits. Not if you were to come out again. I'm going to use you for an example, and you told your wife, number 663, you said to her, you were like, look, there are flat Earth, there are children on the moon. She's like, you are out of your fucking mind. But if every day for the next 365 days, you tell her a little bit at a time, and you're like, look, check this out, check this article out, check this article out, check this article out. By let's really just stretch it out and call it month 6. She's like, there's a lot of stuff here that I really never thought about. Maybe the moon is flat. Maybe they are keeping kids up there. Jesus. And now 365 comes, and you're like, so seriously, we have to free those kids. So we need to, I think we need to put our funds toward it. My funds are going towards the podcast and my stuff, my 3D printer. But your funds we can use for the kids. We have to save those kids. Whereas if you were to turn around and go off the street and be like, hey, we got to save the flat Earth fucking moon kids, they'd be like, go fuck yourself, weirdo.
Yeah, I think I could probably have it done in 4 months if I really applied myself. So
what Sal just said is no different than what goes on in the military, meaning that you get indoctrinated to a certain extent, then you have to follow orders, even if you don't agree with them.
And the rest is muscle memory.
Yeah, and then you say to yourself, well, if I don't do what my superiors tell me, I get court-martialed. I get thrown in jail. So I have to do what I have to do. I spent X amount of time of my life getting to this place right now. If I do it now, I throw it all away. Is it worth it? That's up to the individual, whether they can live with themselves the next day for doing the wrong thing. But regardless of the fact, it still questions your ethics. And unfortunately, a lot of these people who get into these cults and I mean to the extreme level where they follow everything from A to Z, they have very low what's the right word? Low
self-esteem?
Yeah, very low. Thank you, Sal. Very low self-esteem. And they don't question the ethics because they're part of the cool kids now. They get to sit at the lunch table with the jocks.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Question. So what would be the first thing if you started a cult and somebody started kind of, hey, by the way, guy's too smart to get rid of because he's a good earner, good worker. You don't want to get rid of him. What's the first thing you do? You indoctrinate him into your side. So now let him work for you.
Yep.
Oh, man. I just want to say thanks to MH Freedom. Cheered us 1,000 bits. Mikey Hawes, thank you, buddy.
Holy fuck,
thank you.
But that's kind of funny that you just said that.
Let me touch on this real quick.
Please,
really quick then. Then this thing is a blanket across the board on both ends of the spectrum type thing. School, I said it before, political parties,
correct,
even sports teams,
correct,
all this stuff. We are in basically, we're kind of just blanketed all around and soaked in cultish
well, what's the word?
Behavioral
culture, right? It's
culture.
right.
There you go.
and then on top of that, fandom, fanaticism. It's all part of it, man. There are cult fanatics for a reason.
Yeah, I mean mainstream media too. I watch Fox. I watch NBC. Like nobody in the world can ever just say, "Cool, I'll go check that out for myself." I've never heard outside of this or even our chat room. I've heard nobody in my life say, "Cool, I'll go check that out." Like not believing what I'm telling them.
Everybody
like, really?
needs a team, dude.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's like Hogan Andre WrestleMania. No, I'm just kidding.
Good one. Well done. Well, here's the wrestling swerve on that because Sal was saying that, we'll indoctrinate. We'll give you the attaboy. I was watching Impact last week, and it's Caveman. I can never think of his name.
Trevor Lee.
Trevor Lee.
Trevor Lee.
Trevor Lee's last thing where he goes in to like say, you know, I've been here and these guys are getting shots before me. He's like, I want a match. Tell me you want to fight. He's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going out there. I don't care. Send me anybody you want. But before he's doing that, while he's getting hot at the office, you hear D'Amore and Cyrus, who is his whole character is pretty much based off of Jim Jones, right? Isn't it? To some degree. And yeah, and they're off camera going, nah, man, you're a great hand. I wish I had 10 more of you. You're one of the best guys in the locker room, saying that exact type of shit to Rib to show, all right, you're not on the fan side, but you're on this side. And here's the mind control of the wrestling lines that are told to mid-card, lower-card guys who want to get a bump every fucking time. It was an excellent backstage thing. Pretty much strictly only workers would get that, like how deep of a fucking shot that was. So interesting. And I did want to bring up Cyrus because that wasn't a very, you know, early on Attitude Era way of kind of, I think that's a brilliant character, you know, that could have got more mileage if they really would have dedicated a following to it.
Think about all of the characters that they've made who are cult leaders or cult starters, cult followers, who they kind of like, again, 1,000 people in the chat room, Raven's Flock. He was this cult of personality guy. He was this guy that he took all the scumbags and misfits. Come on this way. I'll accept you.
Straight edge society.
Right.
Bray Wyatt.
Bray Wyatt's huge.
That's the
biggest one. Biggest one right now. Well, it was. And like, it's the fact that they all come from the same core part. I'll take all of the pieces of shit that none of the cool kids will accept. You know, like, you know, none of the babyface John Cena's, I'll take everybody. I love everybody. Hugs. But all the cool kids that everybody wants to be a part of, they don't want you people.
Right.
They'll go with the Bray Wyatts. Well, I'll take everybody.
Once you sell your house, then you can be in and give us the money.
Right.
We forgot right to censor too.
No, let me tell you something. The fucking chat room blew up about right to censor earlier.
Yeah.
About what a cult they were. And I think they misspelled cunt wrong, but that's
Yeah.
There's no Alan Cunt.
If they
you
only
guys.
knew how much power I didn't have during that time.
Well, that's true of any cult leader as well. It's all phony power, right? It's all the illusion of power.
It's all power. Ernie Hudson, man. Power perceived is power achieved.
That's right. So I
Is
mean,
that from Ghostbusters or
No, that was from the other movie with Tom Berenger.
I've seen some shit.
Substitute.
oh. Come on.
Neither of which were on Hallmark Channel.
Yeah.
Was that Ghostbusters with Tom
That was
Henson?
Ghostbusters 4.
That was the female Ghostbusters with Ernie Hudson.
With Tom Hanks and Peter Scolari.
Excellent. The next one we wanted to kind of cover is different from, you know, I would say tax bracket wise and almost the way the whole thing is built, because where the Jonestown massacre and Jim Jones massacre was more socialism, people kind of every color. Hail Bob Comet or Heaven's Gate cult as it's known, Hail Bob Comet followers were kind of that new age Utah, California, you know, Hate Street, post hippie looking for enlightenment. And because someone had a UFO experience, that was all it took to kind of start based off of religion. They called them, so they said they had two messiahs who had the way to enlightenment, and that there was a spaceship that follows behind the Hail Bob Comet that was coming for them to take them away. And dude, they had a big following at one time, and again, lost them all and gained back 41 true followers who all lived in a commune together, renamed themselves. The leader's name was Do. And there's other ones like Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do. Like there was T and Fa. And
Right.
so the guy's real name, was it Ashbear? Say it again.
Applegate.
Applegate.
Applewhite.
So, you know, this is that weird dude with the big eyes. And people know this.
Responsible for the
Marshall
iPhones,
Applewhite.
Applegate.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. I could not think of a more deserving cult
Dude,
to fucking die.
hardcore. Well, here's the coolest thing about it right now is you can go to heavens
They're still open, dude.
heavensgate.com, and the website
No.
in the original form is still up there, you guys.
No, because there are still members.
There was two survivors that lived on.
And they went on, and there's more now who were like, we didn't know it was getting that bad. They were the ones who called in and were like, hey, could somebody go check on these dudes? We got some weird texts from them.
Yeah.
They went and checked, and all the fucking short hairs and no nuts.
Do you say let the dogs out by the the dogs out by the pool?
The dogs were in the yard, open the side doors open, and all these fucking people went, and there they were, bags over their heads, new Converse, and
they had purple Nikes on. Let's not give Converse the rub here.
I love it. I can't imagine just not. This is the best ending for all of them.
I'm gonna read one of the comments since you brought that up from the video that Ben sent. They wore the Nikes because there was a sale, and for their motto, "Just do it." And then another guy. This whole video gave me Forrest Whitaker eye.
Oh. But now here's my deal. Let me ask everybody up in here. We're all. I feel we are all manly men. We all feel we're pretty tough to a degree. These guys self-castrated themselves.
That's what I was going to say. Come on, you're giving the fucking big main event shots away here. GGP.
Not necessarily.
GGP.
A group of them flew to Mexico City to get a surgical procedure done. They didn't.
Fair enough.
That whole thing, I saw this video, and then I tried to fact check that. This site I looked at said that they did indeed self-castrate, but the documentary said they flew to Mexico City. There was like 6, including Doe.
There was 11 that did it total, and there was 6 or 7 that flew out. There was original 3 or 4 who they did it there.
Wow.
And it wasn't like self-castrate, like hold your shit out and like,
No.
like.
I feel like they did the fucking the mule one where they just twist the wire around it until it turns purple and falls off.
No, they did an injection in their nuts that makes your fucking shit shrivel up and pretty much fall off.
No, I'm gonna go with my.
It wasn't machete and a hot branding iron. Cool. Next.
Well, they weren't shooting, so they weren't about spending money, so it could have went down.
Did they all have pesos in case they got separated and had to call on a fucking Mexican payphone?
But this place,
I was saving that for the UFO.
This place was people with some money, like $400,000 corporate investment money, where they all lived in this weird monastery. And they're like, this is like the strange white people of Silicon Valley of the 80s and 90s who don't have anything else to do except live off of some inheritance, or they're whacked out and they have something in their mind. And
like, these are all fucking nerds.
Yeah, all corporate white pasty nerds, every one of them. So, and they're wearing big stuff that you would see in Justice League outfits that the heels would wear with giant collars and shit, like what they would envision them being in a C movie version of Star Wars or whatever the fuck would be, you know?
Yeah, it's
called Star Trek.
I kept imagining these guys, and I'm like, you know what? They're all probably real nice guys, just trying to find somewhere to be. And then I thought I was like, I can imagine hanging out one night with them and being like, you know what? Fuck it, boys. Eat the applesauce. Put the bags on your heads. Get the fuck away from me. I'm just calling it a night because
Sal will come around all your bunk beds and tuck you guys in with a nice bag.
I'll be in tonight, guys.
Regis story.
It's coming early. Trust me. It's coming fucking early.
But they even had, they were even like trying to not do Space Force type stuff, but they all had patches and little uniforms that they wore. And they were trying to be similar to Buddhist monk in their day-to-day. Very peaceful and partial. And like I said, that California, mentality where they're going to follow any guru, which that's another one too, is the Indian dude. I got to look his name up, who he made mega moves and had people coming over. The Indian guru movement, I don't really put as culty. That's kind of its own thing. I guess it could be. But
Hare Krishnas?
No, I'll look it up. There was this dude in the chat room, 70s and 80s. This guy had people from all over the world, from India, millions of followers, and became a huge idol out west. But that's one thing about the Heaven's Gate dude that the other ones kind of have that he doesn't. They're so weird and so socially awkward that the sexual component of manipulating someone doesn't come into it. It comes into, I'm having sexual thoughts, I'm a bad person, let me eliminate my desire by castrating myself and showing dedication that way. So there is a sexual component, but it's very completely opposite of being a megalomaniac and holding power over somebody that way.
What a bad rib.
But yeah, think about that.
That's
that
a bad
is-
one to join right there.
Yeah, that's the power. Because think about the guys who you're using that sex as a weapon against, the guys who aren't getting any.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I
well,
mean?
You know, speaking of that, the strange part about Applewhite was, and that's Doe, the guy with the big eyes.
Yeah.
Who's crazy looking. Should really tip everything off if you watch that for the first time and say, might be a cult. But his wife got brain cancer or brain tumor and died, and that completely almost like destroyed the entire religion, because everybody was supposed to go to the next level. Now he had to re-explain, and I saw in the video that Ben sent, like, my God, like, this was like straight up like House's Light brother fucking speech, like trying to he was literally him and Han, like, yeah, well, her body, and then this, well, reasons.
Yeah.
It was pretty much bullshit, and everybody just went on, and I mean, that could have saved the entire cult effect.
We are the chosen ones. We are going to go into the UFO behind the hill. Uh-oh. Well, she wasn't chosen. It took me mostly.
But the other thing too, and it's actually, since you mentioned a comment, one of the other comments on the YouTube channel is there was a 40th person who committed suicide, but they were hiding behind the comment. And to say I messed that up. But the other thing was, the reason why they went down to get surgically castrated in Mexico City was this guy, like you said, he was suppressing. He was like the worst sex offender of all.
Oh,
He was,
yeah, dude.
As any cult leader. Plus, he had homosexual desires for the other men. So
did
the
Jim Jones.
biggest rib was he wanted to fuck the guys. So he made them, all the guys he wanted to fuck, go to Mexico City to get castrated with them.
Yeah.
What a
Jim
rib.
Jones, man. Jim Jones, he was butt fucking a lot of the dudes too. And
Yeah.
that was the whole thing. He's like, oh, that's not, we're about free love, but he kept that on the fucking kayfabe. He didn't want anybody.
Yeah,
to
he
know
wasn't flexing it
fucking
like
all the-
he was all over.
Yeah,
Where
man.
the guy I was talking about is Indian guru Bhagwan Sri Ranjesh. It's a Netflix documentary I
Wild
saw.
Wild Country.
Yeah, and this dude, I
Mike
mean,
Oz, yeah.
they were clearing thousands of acres to build huge condos and communities. And this guy was a sex guru. He was, I mean, more bitches than fucking Snoop Dogg at this point, right? Like, he was all over, man, and millions and millions of hundreds of millions of dollars given to him.
So is it redundant, aside from Marshall Applewhite, to call these guys sex cult leaders? Because they all have their agendas, and they all got sex as an after product.
I don't think the Nexium dude does, and I don't think
Well,
this
no,
dude.
the fucking Nexium Heartburn.
Oh
guy,
yeah, well,
that was different completely.
yeah, no, but Jim Jones, I think,
All these other guys,
and this
were getting
guy,
fucking Koresh,
Well,
Jim Jones,
yeah.
all these guys were getting the fucking pussy from, well, share it with the father.
But that always changes. Like, that's in the third act, right? First act
Right,
is
right.
you establish and you show you're a man of the people, and they follow you, and then you lose it. But
And
you're
you
addicted to that
always
power.
lead in with this hand. I don't want no pussy.
Yeah.
I don't want no pussy. Meanwhile, you're like, I don't want no pussy. I want no pussy. None. Look, this is that no ulterior motives.
Yep.
What's the finger thing for?
Seriously?
Oh my God.
Are you fucking 3 years old? You don't know what that means?
So then, when they come back in the second
really
act,
doesn't.
it's
Two
the
in the sink, one
consolidated
in the
power.
stink, you don't know what that means?
It means
No.
it means muffle sparks. That's what it means.
I know what this means right here.
And then in the third act, they do this weird sexual shit where it's the power play, because Koresh came to Waco, and he was just in the flock. Then the lady whose husband was the top guy who think that he may have murdered him, and then she starts hooking up with him. She's like 20 years older than young Eddie Vedder version David Koresh, right? And then once his rise to power over that next X amount of years happens, that's when he changes the rules of, oh, I can bang out your daughters and your wife if I want to, based on privilege. So it always
in the name
starts
of the
out.
Bible.
Yeah, you're right. it always starts out with other intention, but once the megalomaniac psychopath top dog spot comes around, then it's I can bang whoever I want. And I wouldn't doubt if there are a lot of former WWF world champions who thought the same way at the time where they were holding the strap.
What's that saying? If you're the hero long enough, you end up becoming the villain.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. Live long enough to become the villain.
Yeah, I just started out that way.
Same here. But the point is this: these individuals who start these cults or fellowships or whatever you want to call them, they're usually the kid that gets abused, disenfranchised, extradited from being accepted within the people that he or she looks up to. They consider the in crowd the cool crowd. So at the end of the day, they end up going, screw you, I'll show you, I'll start my own thing. And what happens is they start their own thing. Then slowly but surely they realize, hey, I'm the cool one now. Hey, kid, yeah.
Come on in.
I'm the genetic jackhammer, yeah. And then all of a sudden, they get abusive for power to the point where they want to do whatever they want to do because fuck that, I paid my dues. It's my time to shine.
Right.
And boom, same thing
What you're saying is Cody Rhodes.
What? Yeah, basically.
They preach morality to bring you in and free thought, but at the end of the day, human pseudo-sexual tendencies and animal instincts are going to override everything, especially if you're already a socially awkward motherfucker who's given a lot of power. Chances of you handling it well, not too good.
Well, no, but I don't think it's so. I don't think it's also sexual tendencies. I think it's their lust for power, the sexual tendencies, all the sexual activity is just reward for being powerful.
Well, women like powerful men. If you're the leader, they're going to half throw themselves at you, one or two, and that's all you need to start some type of sexual depravity habit, to make it a pattern.
But I'm just saying, I don't think the end game is, look at me.
No.
That's always
what I was
the
saying before. I was laughing at all of this because Jim Jones started out as like, in church, that was his deal. He was all hanging out, and I'm just gonna check this out. I want to see this. I like airplanes too, and hey, I'm gonna check out church, and oh yeah, church is cool too. I like church. Church is cool. Everybody's listening to this guy talk, and at the same time, I think about it and I go, okay, so we're sitting here, the four of us sitting here having a good time with each other, talking, chatting, and then I look 20 years down the road, and there's Ben fucking. We're all dead around him on a pulpit, and he's like, well, it's over. Because it escapes you. And we didn't start this out to be anything. I don't think Jim Jones did either. I don't think he started out going, you know what? I'm going to kill a fucking shit ton of people over in Guyana. I'm going to have them kill themselves. I don't think it started that way. I think it escaped him. Once that power went to his head, he was like, well, fuck it. I am God. No longer am I preaching for him. I am the God on this earth. And I feel that's sometimes you can't be wrapped too tight.
A guy like that's got to be waking up every day going, I can't believe I got away with it for another day. All right, let me put the fucking glasses on, take some speed. Now I got to get the fuck out there and do my shtick, right?
Or then how long before you go, maybe I am the Messiah?
Right.
Maybe that is me.
That's going on Vikings right now. I'm not sure if you're watching Vikings, but that's happening with that character. Exact same thing, right? In Nordic. Stevie, you look like you had something you want to add there, buddy.
Well, yeah, I just thank God that Vince McMahon picked professional wrestling to convince a small amount of wrestlers to kill themselves quickly or slowly rather than a bunch of women and children and families.
Yeah.
Because he could probably
except Chris.
Okay. Fair enough.
Wow, that's good.
All right, so here we go.
That's it. I wanted to switch gears before we come back to...
Supposedly, now, if you want to dip into that, because we talked about that before, isn't there some sort of satanic cult connection to that murder? No, not. That's like but there was some kind of weird thing going on there from what in that Hornswoggle thing that he was involved, people were following him, stuff like that. Very much like Church of Scientology, cultish type of behavior, follow certain people around and surveil them.
That's true. What was it that question's never been answered, whether it was like did he have a gambling problem and it was dudes looking to collect, on money? Or was it something along those lines? Was he involved in, a church like that would...
Well, what about the Bibles? The Bibles that were left around the house by the bodies.
Or if it was, another hypothetical in that if they were all murdered and it was something to do with a church cult and they set it up that way to make it look to send a message, but everyone just perceives it as something else,
Now, I don't know if you guys have ever watched. Have you watched the Scientology?
Going Clear.
Clear.
Yeah, it's excellent.
That's fucking brutal, man. And if you look at it, there's really nothing sinister. They don't really do anything. They kind of bother you. But
Well, look at the top again. David
Yeah.
Miscavige is another plastic-faced motherfucker who, with a Napoleon complex, who is physically and sexually violent, and will and cut people off from their families. Fits the pattern of everything we've talked about. And we talked earlier on what's the difference between religions and cult. And I think there's a case to be made in the leadership, even at the local level. Obviously, there's a power there. What are you going to do with it? And how are you going to represent your organization? And if the organization revolves around you solely, which it doesn't, like a local pastor or priest in a parish would, then there's a chance for it to work a little better. But those guys botched that spot too and started touching little kid cocks. So I just wanted to go on this story I saw today. Inside Facebook's cult-like workplace where dissent is discouraged and employees pretend to be happy all the time. Sounds very much like Vince saying to Ronda Rousey before you go out there, get out there and smile, because when you smile, the whole world smiles, Ronda. More than a dozen former Facebook employees detailed how the company's leadership and its performance review system has created a culture where any dissent is discouraged. Employees say Facebook's stack ranking performance review system drives employees to push out products and features that drive user engagement without fully considering potential long-term negative impacts on user experience or privacy. Wow. I'm going to
look at. Go ahead.
Sorry. And then reliance on peer reviews creates an underlying pressure for Facebook employees to forge friendships with colleagues for the sake of career advancement. So tell on your neighbor or, kiss their ass just so you can get up the ladder real quick.
That was the exact same thing that was going on at Walmart. Remember when the big Walmart expose happened a couple of years back where they get together before every shift and they say their little chant.
That's a big Japanese culture, corporate culture thing too.
Right. And that's what they said. They were like, "Oh, it's based on a Japanese culture."
Yeah.
Where they all talk to Sam Walton. All right, Sam Walton, here we go. We're going to do this for Sam. And they'd all get together and they'd all chant. But then that started into the, hey, by the way, become friends with your fellow workers. And they would do videos to the point of, hey, be friends with them. Don't just work with them. Become part of their family. And you're like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, seriously, you're working at Walmart. This is your career. And they all their videos were based on, this is your fucking life. Join the family or get the fuck out.
That's what Stevie did. He went over there and brought them all back and put them in the basement and made them all family.
Well, that's right. And he put those suicide nets around the bottom of his condo.
The 3 squares and a trampoline, and you guys are set. How's that?
Nice.
I tightened it.
Oh,
we
Reiki.
That's it. That exactly what you just said there. The Walmart thing. We had a lot of talent relation meetings, which basically asking us if there's anything that they could do better or how the company could be better, but basically telling us at the same time, we're treating you just fine.
Yeah.
Like don't stand up in front of everybody and fucking be the one. Don't be that guy or girl.
We want to act like we're inviting open conversation, but don't you fucking dare stand up and talk out against the machine. We can do no wrong.
Just bear with me for 1 second. Just let me. This is legit happening at my company right now. There was a big fucking blow up about, and this is so fucking stupid. And it drives me insane because I legit said I don't give a fuck. They were talking about eating at their desks. Okay, not a big deal in an office environment. Who cares? Our company said no. Okay, to our branch, our particular branch. There's like 11 branches all over the northeastern United States. Great, who cares? Nobody fucking gives a shit. So at the town meeting of managers, without being mentioned, our names came up, that our branch came up about these people who were asking other branches about, are you allowed to eat at your desk? And they said, well, and all these people were doing, looking at this legitimately, all of these Nancy Browns were legit looking through the procedural book and using their own written laws, saying, well, this isn't fair. They brought it up at a meeting and said, we're really not happy with the issues being brought up. So at this point, I was like, I don't care. I'm like, I really could give a fuck about whatever they're going to say. I'm going to do what I'm going to do at my desk, and I don't care.
Right.
But at the same time, they are saying, don't, managers.
Don't ask, don't tell. Yeah.
Quell that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Stop that from happening, because they're stirring the pot. They're churning the waters. And I sat there for a second and going, wait a minute, what the fuck? I'm not down with that. All of a sudden I'm riled up about it, because all of a sudden this I don't give a fuck turned into something, because they turned around and said, no, don't do this. Don't bring up what we told you can do. They don't like people stirring the pot. They don't like people churning the waters, which is exactly the same thing. They don't like the dissidents, and they don't like the dissension coming from the different offices.
They don't want individuals. Fuck that.
Right. Everybody just shut the fuck up and smile and be happy. And then a company who I will say we made $20 million for, they turned around and said, don't they understand? We give them free coffee. We give them free snacks in a break room. So for a company who made you $20 million, you're actually going to throw up the fact that you spent $100 in coffee and fucking trail mix to keep your employees happy? Like that, to me, that made me sick. I was like,
well,
what the fuck is happening?
Is it organic?
No, it's not.
Okay, I was just saying that's more expensive.
The hippie girl has to bring her own organic coffee in.
Yeah. At a company-wide town hall in early October, numerous Facebook employees got in line to speak about their experience with sexual harassment. Yeah. The company called the special town hall after a head of policy, Joel Kaplan, caused an internal uproar for appearing at the congressional hearing for Judge Brett Kavanaugh. A young female employee was among those who got up to speak, addressing her comments directly to COO Sheryl Sandberg. Quote, she says, I was reticent to speak, Sheryl, because the pressure for us to act as though everything is fine and that we love working here is so great that it hurts, she said, according to multiple former Facebook employees who witnessed the event. Quote, she said, there shouldn't be this pressure to pretend to love something when I don't feel this way, said the employee, setting off a wave of applause from her colleagues at an emotional town hall in Menlo Park, California. This episode speaks to an atmosphere at Facebook in which employees feel pressure to place the company above all else in their lives, fall in line with their manager's orders, and force cordiality with their colleagues so they can advance. Several former employees likened the culture to a cult. Stevie?
That's not untrue.
Here's the once again, they talk about, and it's not just wrestling, but in general, the system of the Christian work ethic. Hey, if you work more hours and you really make this your life and you give up all this other stuff outside of the job, you'll get rewarded. And just like any other cult or anything else, the promises are always going to fall short. They're always, are you frozen? Or you just, man, that's a creepy fucking smile you had there for a second.
You talking to me?
Dead in my, yeah, you're like.
It was GGP's hair club for men. Dirty turnbuckle.
Did you fall into the void? You got sucked into the shine?
Yeah.
Whoa, take it easy.
You felt the glow?
No, Dirty Turnbuckle did a hair club for men gift form. It's excellent.
Oh. But this is where I think there just
it's the only shine that guy's gonna get.
There needs to be such a shift in mindset all around. I think the societal shift of thinking work hard instead of working smart and trying to be more enlightened and trying to move forward, rather than, once again, we talk about how the system And it's interesting. I was watching Eddie Bravo and Propadon brought up we're going to talk about Rockefeller
Who's
next week.
Propadon?
Propadon.
So you propped up
Hammer.
Rockefeller. Rockefeller's coming up next week.
Oh,
He's like Carrot Top's other brother. Propadon.
I just couldn't get that Vin's facial expression out of my mind for a second. So, no, it wasn't anything
no,
like
it
that.
wasn't. I'll have to go back and look. It's a
It
new
was
one.
like- It was almost like when Bert from Bert and Ernie looked at the camera with that stare.
I'll have to go back and
So-
look at it so I can get it from muscle memory.
Rockefeller took over the education system. So there's a preview for next week. Basically to make people only smart enough to keep them working in that system, that Christian work ethic system, basically indentured servitude, slavery to the financial system, stuff like that. So that's what Facebook and all these other places, I went through it in DDP Yoga. Everybody goes through it. And, and they always mask it as a startup too. Startup, you automatically, I'm going to work 100 hours a week because this is a startup.
Yeah.
It's almost criminal the way that they do that. And it always ends up with that person being burned out. And then they just get another person to replace them who's even cheaper than they were when they came in. It's just the nature of it. I'm sure Facebook does the same thing. You come in here, man, you really work your ass off. You can start off small, get up there. Maybe we'll give you some stock options. Before you know it, you're suddenly a billionaire, like Zuckerberg and all the other guys.
I think you're
But
dealing with
not-
a lot of pasty white guys who have no ability to deal with women when it comes to sexuality either, or to know how to do that in the workplace possibly. And then it's going to spin out of control quick. And then when they're on the, stand for it, holy shit, then they're really sweating. I mean, you saw how out of place that guy looked on the stand.
Well, there's things in companies too, in corporations. It's not that they're afraid to fire people. They just don't want to pay unemployment. They'll just make you miserable enough to where you want to quit.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And that's the whole thing too. That kind of game fucks the entire morale in the environment and the locker room or the office or whatever. When people know that something like that happening, unless you're such a rah-rah company guy or girl, you're looking at that going, man, how long until it's me? How long?
This is a true story too. On the non-entertainment side, a friend of my wife's, his wife, they newlyweds. She just got a job over at Google in California, so they up and moved. They left Jersey, went to California to go work at Google, and it's amazing. They've given her everything. They paid for the move. They paid for a house in the interim until they can get a house. It's literally, we're going to give you life, and they've taken care of literally everything. And she went in, she did the tour, she did the whole bit, and they were like, oh, great. She's like, oh my God, I hope I can keep up. And he says, well, that's fine, because we probably won't fire you. We'll kill you first, as a joke. But now I was just like, wow, that's a rough first day.
Yeah.
You just moved here from Jersey, and you have no one else. And they tell you, no, don't worry about getting fired. We'll kill you first.
Nice.
Google. Who could probably do it?
I think you got their 2019 slogan down, man.
Yeah, Google. We'll kill you first.
GGP, what are you thinking, man? You've been in part of corporate culture for a while. Not saying on the sexual harassment side that you might have some war stories or anything to share with us about a old Madame Vice President who told you to stay late one night and she invited you into her office to talk about
Or somebody who didn't want you to close on
mortgage
the house.
foreclosures and how you could
Yeah,
say,
Granny wanted to give you a little.
She's like, oh, I've lived here my whole life. I've never been with a young Greek boy.
fucking broken hand, Kurt Angle.
What do you think, GGP?
Oh, well,
I
she
can't.
really
I
did
can't.
it. It really happened.
I can't.
We hit a nerve.
It did.
No, you didn't hit a nerve. I can't top what you guys just said. I'm trying to keep composure here. That old lady voice that Sal just threw at me was very intriguing. Let's see.
Just so you know, I kept thinking of Dan Aykroyd from Nothing But Trouble
Nice.
as the old lady.
Nice.
So
Nice.
keep that.
Corporate America. It's a cult within itself. Case in point, you said it. I've been part of it for a while. Worked for a few huge corporations, and it's sickening how they indoctrinate people to make their bottom line these people's identity and their purpose for their life. You understand what I mean? Like some of these people, they identify themselves through their positions in the workplace. Their whole life is their team that they're managing or their work that they try to shine up to their management team, you know, their higher ups, so they can get a good pat on the back like Barrett Horowitz. But case in point, you know, oh, if I do well, then the company does well. And if the company does well, I'll do well. It's like that old commercial from the 80s where the guy's sitting in the Coke vial. Well, I got to work hard, so I got to do more Coke, so I can work harder, so I can get more Coke, so I can work harder. And it's just a big cyclical, you know, process that never ends. And at the end of the day, the only one that profits is the one that's on top of the pyramid. And in this case, it's usually the shareholders, the CEO, the CFO, and case in point, you know, those who have their hands in the cookie jar, and everyone on the bottom, all the grunts that are in the trenches, trying to make the company better and trying to get the spotlight shined on them for 2 seconds so they can get acknowledged for their hard work, usually get trampled on. And that's corporate America.
It sounds very similar to every wrestling locker room, right? Like they act like they're in that and it's the bottom line of the company, but it's really about the mind control and the control of a group that's doing your bidding for you.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, a wrestling company, a wrestling locker room is just like a cult as well. You know what I'm saying? Case in point, you walk in, you got to shake everybody's hand. And if you don't feel like shaking everyone's hand, oh, this guy has an attitude. Oh, really? Okay, well, maybe I'm just some fucking, you know, maybe it took me forever to get to this fucking town because some old lady in their Prius was in front of me for 5 hours on a single lane road and I had to deal with some bullshit. Or I had to ride with somebody to cut the fucking expenses and that guy was an asshole. He didn't bathe and he smells. You know what I'm saying? Case in point,
That's
people
fucked
don't.
up that you talk about Mikey Whipwreck.
I know.
No, stop it.
That's rough.
I love Mikey. And shout out to Jerry Lynn. He got hip surgery today and it was a success and he's feeling well. So shout out to Jerry Lynn.
Cool.
Anyhow, regardless of that, you know what
You
I'm
said
saying?
old lady, right? Is that why you're thinking that?
No. So regardless of the fact, actually, he didn't even know about the podcast. I told him about it. He told me to say what's up to everybody in the podcast.
Yeah, he didn't know about it.
Mikey Hawes with 5,000 snowflake bits, man. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man.
But, you know.
Fuck him and his new hip. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guy.
We love you, Jerry. Anyhow, like I was saying, you know, you walk in and then, God forbid, you put a match together with a veteran who thinks he's God's gift to the fucking wrestling business, and
Now you're talking about Mike Hawes. What the fuck?
you know, now you want to get your shit in, and then what happens? The guy tells you an idea and it makes no sense, and you hey, wait a minute, buddy. You know, I see where you want to go with that, but the way you want to do it doesn't really tell the story that you want to get at. Why don't we do this? Hey, kid, I've been wrestling for 30 years. I had a 10-year run at the dance.
Is this when you and Stevie worked?
Oh, forget it. Stevie big leagued me like a motherfucker. Stevie, no, kid, we're not doing that. I'm not. But I want to do this. No. I'm going to hit you with the doctor gimmick, and I'm going to stretch you out, and then if it's needed, well, you know, no, well, okay, well, could I ask you a question? No, kid. You want to buy my bands? I have bands, sir. That's how it was, basically.
No, these bands, Stevie Richards used bands. They're official. You know, the big thing that was we talked about Nexium that it really surrounds it is I thought was an interesting piece of this story. Was it Amway? That's the multi-level marketing gimmick, right? Then this dude was selling it early on when he was in his career, high school and early college. But we're talking about Keith Renier, who is the head of Nexium Corporation, which was a front company, a multi-level marketing thing, and he had success in multi-level marketing, so he knew how to do it very well and was able to recruit women who would go out and recruit other women for these kind of self-help seminars and how to push yourself to the next level, and they were benefiting from it. But it started to, you know, become the fact that this guy's at the top of the pyramid, and he says that he's enlightened at age 13 or 14. He said something struck him And he just knew that he was different and special on that day, that he was enlightened to the way things should be in the world to become better humans, and that he was passing that forward. So he's, again, selling mystic knowledge, whether it's Church of Scientology, keeping that, it's really aliens that fly out of your asshole, right? The spirit of them or whatever, until you get to that point. But you're so far in, you're like, well, fuck, I don't want to look like a douchebag. I've given him $100,000. I can't bail now. Tom Cruise won't answer my emails anymore.
Right. So look at it this way. Let's say us three, and Stevie starts a cult, and I give my $4,000 that I have in my nest egg, and you give your Hameen money of $25,000 that you have in your nest egg, and GGP has his mattress full of $80,000. So now I come up and I say, well, here's all my money. And then Stevie goes, well, Papa Don gave me $80,000. He really loves me and God. So now I'm a piece of shit, and I got to work hard to get to curry his favor.
Yeah.
So now who's going to bust their ass and give a lot of free time, work on weekends, and work on overtime?
Dude, you're talking about the Sea Org in Scientology. That's exactly what it is.
All of them.
And L. Ron Hubbard was in the military, had command of a ship, fucked it up, got fired.
Yeah,
he got fired and wanted to play. Look at the whole Sea Org. He just wanted to play fucking Navy, man, because he never got over it. All these high level leaders, something happens to them at a certain time of development in their life, and that projects into these strange megalomania desires that they have to control people and make them their own little armies of whatever their version of it is. For Jim Jones, it was socialism. For L. Ron Hubbard, it's the Navy, obviously. And for this guy, it's some type of harem sex cult combined with corporate culture.
But now Stevie steps up and he tells me, Stevie goes, listen, I'm not going to tell Papa Don that you only gave $4,000.
Yeah.
But you know what? Maybe you can come by later and mow my lawn and trim my hedges.
Give me one of those.
Maybe check out Odin's prostate. He's getting some anal sex. Could you check him out for me? Yes, sir, of course. So these are the things that are going to happen. But he's going to play everybody against each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's their biggest strength.
And he'll still make GGP look like he didn't give enough anyway.
Right, and he'll look at GGP and go, look at the work he's doing. Look at the work Sal's doing. Look at Sal. He's expressing his glands. Look at it. Odin's never been happier. And GGP's like, what the fuck? What did he give? What is he doing? Well, I'm going to do more too. And now everybody's struggling to fuck this guy, fuck that guy. And look at Ben. Ben hasn't done shit.
Oh,
yeah.
I got him.
Right.
Secret of my success. Yeah.
Now there's automatically dissension amongst the people, but we all still love Stevie. So it's just like real life, everybody. So that's the moral of the story. Give Stevie your money and get him a fucking moon camera, you cocksuckers.
So this guy in Nexium sets it up, where he's on top, but then his underbosses, both women, they call themselves slaves, master-slave relationship. It wasn't even like trying to masquerade it. And at one time, this guy pretty much had 6 side pieces who all knew of each other in a harem of 15 women who were all kind of on the board of directors of this corporation, all very highly intelligent people, all college educated, and even got this girl from Smallville. What's her name, Sal?
Allison Mack
to be a recruiter for him. And then he took it next level and had them branding his corporate logo on them.
That just happened to look like my initials, everybody.
Yeah, that looked like
his logo I came up with.
Right. So how far will they take it? And not just like, let me heat up some shit on the stove, Tupac style, and blaze it on your hip. Like, they had a cauterizing pen, and he made it into a 45-minute ceremony where they etched this into these girls' skin and burned them. Like, now you're dealing with some serious fucking psychosexual tendencies.
I need that kind of loyalty, to be honest.
Right? And 15 women have this brand.
I definitely need that kind of loyalty.
Stevie, do the kids in the basement have a kitty cat brand on them?
Like a little paw print.
Yeah.
You know, you guys are being far too mean to Baby Odin. This is not.
Whoa.
You could say
I'm
anything you want about
I'm
me.
expressing Odin's fucking
Hold
anal
on.
sacs, for God's sake.
Hold on.
How am I being mean? I'm trying to help the cat.
I put Odin over today. I said he has a better promo. He has better promo skills than Braun Strowman. So relax.
That's not putting him over to me. No, there's no Chinese kids in my basement, by the way, everybody. I do not have a
They're all
basement.
Korean, you fucking racists.
What's that?
They're all Korean. They're not Chinese. Don't be racist.
Oh shit.
Because if they were Chinese, they'd have made him that fucking camera.
You know what? We laugh about it, but I really do squirm a little bit after the show because of the world we live in, where some wrestling site will just say that, you know, Stevie Richards has Chinese slaves making a resistance bands, and it's just like, oh, look what they do to Ruth. Look what they do to Russo. I mean, God, some of the most unfounded stuff, you know, the accusations. And
I can see the headline now. Stevie Richard kidnapped Kai and Ty and has him in the basement.
yeah. You know, what'd be funny is if somebody spread a rumor about me being so ruthless that I have children making my resistance bands, I would get a call.
You'd be champ.
Hey,
pal.
Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna say, all of a sudden Stevie can't do the Wednesday shows
Yeah.
because he got the call.
Well, that's what he said in our chat too. If I get the call to stop doing bins, so you know, all right, I'll just go there and sit in the stands and shut up. I guess hang out with my tarps. Be a good time. But
you should really do a Vince McMahon Twitter.
yeah. Well, now that you said it,
now there's
somebody
going to be
already
100 of
made
these
it.
humps doing it.
Yeah.
Forget that name.
You're an
Thanks for listening.
asshole. All right.
I'm mostly looking at Armand when I say that.
Speaking of humps, I just want to say shout out to Angelo Andrews. So,
But right now, this case
Who is that?
Angelo Andrews, he's one of the boys from NYWC.
Yeah, he's an avid listener to us, man.
Yep.
No, because he big leagues everybody.
What's
Everyone's-
NWC?
NYWC, I said. It's a company.
I thought it was Mae Young Classic. You were talking.
Mae Young has a wine.
And why?
I'd call that the NWC. Russo's rubbing off.
But he just said NWC and it took that acronym
Yes.
to Mae Young.
Easy
Then
E,
they
Ice Cube, and Dr. Dre, NYWC.
NYWA.
Hey, I heard a funny joke today. Actually, I read a funny joke today at Twitter. They said that Trump should
Goodbye, T.
Trump should put Vince Russo in charge of the wall because this way no one get over. We love you, Uncle Vince. I just thought it was funny.
No, it was good. I saw it too.
Wrote it, so yeah.
Yeah. But right now,
So you're polyester, huh?
yeah, right. This guy is in pretty deep shit, being investigated and under indictment federally, you know, felonies. I was listening to his lawyer, and he had an interesting argument in the fact of, especially when it comes to the branding, because that's the weird, like, that's where things just go, okay, let's take a step back. Because you have to, again, break down people's ability. Like I said, what he was telling them earlier, that why, questioning why, saying no, he taught them through his program that's what's holding them back. So once you can break that wall down, what can't you get them to do? And I think he's just, you know,
Is that the 16 weeks SRF program?
No, that'll be next year's 20-week program to really get your mind.
Hey, man, I wanted, just while I'm thinking about it,
Yeah.
you want to talk about, we haven't heard anything about it, but I bet you, out of anything, fitness things like Beachbody and other things,
Dude.
you have a cult-like following. DDP Yoga have a very cult-like following where the leaders,
Dude,
yeah, and the leaders and the
P90X,
people-
that guy is a straight cult leader. He's got the exact eyes of the Hail Bob Comet, dude, so many
Tony
times.
Horton?
Yeah.
Well, Billy Blanks, he's another one too. Remember all
Yeah.
those guys.
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
I was saying was that you know, you're trusting somebody literally with your health and your life in a fitness brand. That's why the responsibility, I don't take it lightly, but it will turn into, man, he led me to this, or she led me to this, to be in the best shape I can be. To what else can they do for me? And that's what Tony Horton,
Sure.
Dallas has all these inspirational books.
I
and
love
speaking.
Tony Horton's fucking donuts and coffee.
I like his old porn movies on Cinemax. But yeah, man, it's people looking for an answer, Stevie, and fitness, especially if you're something you're going to get results after dedicating time to, unlike what is going to happen to me. I'm going to elevate to a spaceship. Oh, yay. Some fantasy shit. You're getting some real payback on your investment there.
People are more likely to go fucking all in on the fitness thing and go, well, you know what? This is what I'm going to get back. I'm going to get something back to tomorrow or the week after tomorrow, and they're going to give everything. They're going to fucking throw everything in the ring on that, because that's going to be on them. And when it starts wearing them down, that's when they're going to start calling Stevie, and they're going to try to email DDP and get responses of this email is no longer in function, but they are going to give everything into that, because that is that is their version of nirvana. And even yoga people, that is they want to hit that plateau. So the fitness thing is just, to me, the fitness thing is now something that can physically be achieved on this planet in this lifetime without having to pray, without having to find spiritual enlightenment. And they will turn that into their religion, whether it's working out, whether it's, just anything people can invest in and make their thing, whether it's computers, whether it's, technology. People will try to do everything to associate themselves, to brand themselves with something.
Well, that's the danger, though. That's what I mean. It's far more dangerous. You mentioned technology and the cult-like leader, Steve Jobs, the way people looked at Steve, because he created these things. But he didn't even create them. He just basically told somebody to make me something. Just make me. No, not that. No. And he just kept saying no until this thing came out.
Hey, that's really cool. Do it again next year.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, wouldn't you be more inclined when a fitness guru like a Tony Horton with all the charisma in the world, he's made your life so much better on so many things. He's gotten you involved in the diamond coaching thing with the fucking Beachbody coaching MLM shit. Right. And then he hits you with, by the way, like you said, little bits and pieces. He has the power already. Yep. You've trusted him this long.
Yeah.
So if he tells you, hey, there's a fucking comet coming, and that, it doesn't sound so crazy anymore, because you've already batted 1 for 1 or 2 for 2 trusting him. Dude, there's sooner or later, there's going to be somebody that's going to be fucking with Nikes saying, just do it.
And I'll take you sons of bitches to Nirvana.
Right. And think about Tim Horton's fucking program, that he'll be like, okay, look, I'm not asking
That's the wrong program, by the way.
It's fine. That's a good one. That's the better one. So
I was doing Shane Douglas throwing down the title.
But so Tim Horton's, his whole program will be, hey, look, I'm not asking you to do anything that's not going to help you. So if you're not helping you, you're the piece of shit.
Yeah.
So right there, right there is the cult thing making, well, now you have to work, because if I don't go through with this, I can't go on to, Tim Horton's fucking forum board and show my ripped up abs. Or did you see that girl who's all jacked up and her arms look amazing? Well, I can't do that because I haven't done as good as she did.
Yeah.
I have sent emails like that to people. Well, it really is. You got to do the work.
I wasn't going to put your name into it. I was trying to keep it away from you, but okay, I guess we're going that way.
No, I've maybe sent 2 out since it started.
Sal, I think you'll like his lawyer's take on it, where he puts the heat back on the chicks, because these are educated women, high-level corporate women, not, some down south 8th grade education fuddruckers who, are at the evangelical tent, getting diddled out back by the guy in the white suit. This guy had a whole corporate setup, the website to promote everything along with it, and really pitch that in the time to manipulate them and break down their walls to where he would be in control at the multi-level marketing top while he's banging them. But the lawyer says, why is it the fact that it's men? If this was happening to men join secret societies. Men have branding. There's plenty of athletes and whatnot who brand themselves or team branding in sports and things along those lines. But as soon as it's women doing this thing and empowering themselves, maybe they want to be there with multiple sexual partners of both male and female, and they want to do that, we instantly say, oh, those poor girls, they're victims. And we look at them away like they've been manipulated by a man. When they did all this, were willing partners, and no one ever really held them down against their will, because this guy is by himself. It's not like he's got the strong arm backup that Jim Jones had of like, or David Koresh had, where there's like male army behind him kind of.
But that's the thing. He didn't need to strong arm anybody. He had, hey, do this, or.
He's in Guinness Book of World Records as one of the smartest men on the planet because he took a high-level IQ test and did very well on it. That also put him in a position of power. And when you're saying you were enlightened at 13 years old, women are going to flock to that. They're going to flock to the top dog. That's just the way we're wired as mammals, like the alpha.
And that's now, and again, this is an unpopular opinion, but I'm using it as an example. Like all these people who are like, Harvey Weinstein raped me. I don't believe he did. Was he a piece of shit? Yeah. Did he use his power to get pussy? Yeah. I don't think he had to rape anybody. He didn't have to force anyone. He used his power to get what he wanted. And I feel like, Nexium guy did the same shit. He didn't have to force anybody to do anything. He had them eating out of his fucking hand.
Right. I just thought that was a very interesting argument of like how quickly because I was in that camp. He kind of, if I was on a jury, I was like, these aren't women who are just like taken at a young age, like in the Mormon religion, and their minds are warped, right? They made a choice to do that. They made a choice to join this self-fulfillment course at age 24 or whatever the fuck in corporate culture.
If you give me any actress or actor, young actor, actress who grew up in the business, you're automatically, you've already started the game at 40% warped.
Sure.
So you're already indoctrinated into some sort of following.
And
you need enlightenment.
What's her name again from Smallville?
Allison Mack.
Allison Mack has been indicted as a co-conspirator of pretty much human trafficking women to him.
She was helping out, man.
Yeah. Like, because that was a thing. They said there was dozens of projects at Nexium that these teams of women were working on, and that was hers, was to go and recruit 6 more people that would end up being sex slaves for him and in that higher level clique, man. GGP, what was the first corporation you were recruited as a sex slave for?
It was Spiro's Gyro Hut.
Oh, nice.
Over our Northern Boulevard. No.
Extra meat.
Extra meat, extra white sauce.
Tzatziki.
Anyhow, I was going to say that the Allison Mack, she ended up becoming the head of talent relations over there at Nexium. So,
well, look at all the Nickelodeon kids, man. They all same way. The guy who wound up running Nickelodeon, Dan Schneider, from Head of the Class. That guy wound up becoming. He wedged his fucking self up in Nickelodeon to be like, well, now you got to show us. And everybody kissed his ass, and everybody got it in that same position until they had to. They basically wound up giving him, well, here you go, man, off to future endeavors. And he split.
Yeah. And I heard he's more of like more known than Tony Atlas as a foot fetish guy.
Correct. He used to have the parents drop off videos for Nickelodeon. They would do promo tapes, and it would be, we're gonna have your kid, and that's the thing. The kids were dressed. There would be, wear shorts and a tank top sort of thing, and then barefoot. We're going to do some fun beach stuff or fun pool stuff, and the parents would be like, oh, we want the kid to see this. We want the kid to see that. So the parents were the ones dropping these tapes off to this guy who was fucking predatory towards their children. But again, never had to force anybody to do any of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're hooked on the fame. He's got what they want for their enlightenment.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, Bang Biscuit, Rex Ryan level foot fetish.
There's one.
That Wes Walker press conference where you got to look that up on YouTube. Wes Walker, Rex Ryan foot, and he just basically used every like fucking metaphor for feet in his press conference. He's like, you just can't toe tap around the issue. We just have to, we dipped our feet in the water and then we just jump in both feet first. And they're like, you just do for fucking 3. He got like in trouble, but he just kept talking.
Dirty Turnbuckle says, I worked with Kevin Spacey in 2000. I was 20 and he creeped me out, a real weirdo on set. Double down on that for Andy Dick.
I'll say good instincts on his part with that, man.
Yeah,
Wow.
man.
Did you guys see? They just did a thing with him, a follow up where he's been, because he's been pretty much
Dude,
silent.
how terrible was that
what they
move,
showed.
dude? How terrible was that move where he tried to come out as
the president,
as the character that they
from
killed
House of
off from
Cards,
House of Cards?
Well, listen,
Whoever the fuck did not like kick his ass that day when he's like, we're putting it out. I'd be like, the fuck you are putting it out,
yeah,
dude.
right, dude. Like, to do that, I was just like, yeah, you're gone, you're out,
Yeah,
man.
you're
wait a
You're
minute.
fucking.
But do you think he did that cryptically to try to pass a message saying, if I go down, all you other fuckers are going down?
I think
with
so
me?
too, for sure. But at the same time, it would have been a lot better to come out as Kevin Spacey instead of trying soft soap it as Frank fucking whatever from
that way
House
he
of
didn't have
Cards.
to take
You just took away all of your power of what you really have. You're trying to act for us and do a fucking character when there's some real serious shit on the table. Like, we can't decipher from what's fiction on fucking TV versus you sucking off a 15-year-old in South Carolina bathroom someplace on a highway. Fuck out of here, dude.
But here's what they're focusing on. They're focusing on him fucking jerking off some 18-year-old in a bar. And they're like, oh, well, he was drunk. He got that kid drunk. Well, number one, the kid's credibility shot, because why are you 18 in a bar? And Kevin Spacey's hands down your pants for 3 minutes. But now,
It's going to be Cosby math, bro.
Right.
If there's one, there's
No, I get
60
it.
of them.
But now here's the point. Him being the president, him being, that dude from House of Cards, that's not him. He doesn't have to take responsibility. And if they were to come back and say, look what this fucking guy did, he goes, I was acting. I'm an actor. Go fuck yourself.
Well,
It's all culpability.
Well, or he comes off like being not right in the mind.
Right. They go,
Right.
"Look,
Crazy.
Yeah.
He can't even disassociate himself from his characters.
Exactly.
He's a weirdo. Woo-hoo.
That was a terrible, terrible move, because that's what it gives you. Like, you're not taking rape and fucking sexual abuse, multiple charges seriously while you're watching Cosby and them go down. You think the fucking what if Bill Cosby came out as Jello Pudding or Dr. Cosby and didn't try to fucking put himself over on the stand like that?
If he fucking picture
You
pages
dumb
that shit,
motherfucker.
Fat Albert, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It wasn't me. It was me.
Hey, but by the way,
got
dude,
the girl
I
with
mean,
the picture page. Bloop, bloop, bloop,
Yeah.
like,
Triple D,
like Sal
another
says,
1,000 bits. Thank you, brother. Go ahead.
like he said about Weinstein, like when Kevin Spacey was over and everybody's printing money with him off his fucking ass, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Hey, it's fine. He would walk around what I heard, sets of movies, House of Cards, just grabbing guys and just literally almost raping or out and outright trying to rape people. That kid who works on Star Trek now on the news show, he was one of the first ones. And, his mom came out because is his mom a reporter or
she was an ex-news reporter. Yeah.
That's another kid though. No, I think the Star Trek kid was just somebody back when he was a young actor. There's another kid who I don't think is in Hollywood that the mom was a news reporter and he assaulted
started
him.
crying. He was assaulted. Why was he in a bar getting his dick touched?
Yeah.
Oh, that was the kid? Oh,
Yeah.
Fuck.
But I mean, those are just the ones we're talking about right now. And the move that he makes him look so much guiltier. But GGP, I think you're spot on. It is a shot across the bow. If I get taken out, you do, because he saw what happened to Cosby, so I'm sure he's shitting his pants. Where did you say he was? Where he is now?
He's in court.
Oh, he's in court. I think he said Portland.
Yeah.
Was it like Massachusetts or
Northeast?
something?
Yeah, Massachusetts. And leaving the court, supposedly got pulled over for speeding and got a speeding ticket.
Well, he
That's
wasn't
what they were-
driving, so he don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
No, he was driving, I think.
No, Frank was.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
Oh, Frank was, yeah.
Frank's driving. I ain't got nothing to do with driving.
Man, these people are like, that's another thing about the cult of Hollywood. We're talking about cults, man. That's a cult like, you want to talk about the world's biggest sex cult? That's a sex cult. But we've glossed over
Well,
everything.
sorry, I just
What
wanted to hit you one because right where you say
Sure,
sex
go.
cult, the big news that dropped today, R. Kelly is going down in flames because they just dropped that docuseries with his ex-wife and all these women where he's legit saying he's mentally torturing them, telling them when they can eat, locking them in the room, the whole nine. And
surprise weddings. This is we're getting married.
yeah, it's surprise marriage, right? They just had it all set up like you're getting married to me today. Like, oh, okay. So just the mind control, and they just indicted his manager for sex trafficking, prostitution, possibly, and I'm sure he's gonna be on the skids within the next 24 hours too. I'm sure he'll probably be in handcuffs.
The next thing, just very quickly, and we haven't even touched on it in a while, because I think there's more probable cause here than even the Nexium group and the other stuff that we're talking about. I mean, there's Kevin Spacey, I think, beats it, but Pizzagate.
Sure,
dude, you have the beginning of a trail that you need to follow with those emails and with everything else, and the Podestas, and then how Clinton was connected, and now the missing emails, the server. Dude, all that stuff could be somewhat connected. And
the bloodletting we've been talking about for a long time, all connected in there.
And the only thing that differs between the crazy looking guy from the Heaven's Gate thing, the Jim Jones, David Koresh, all this stuff. There's some show where they're talking about, like, imagine if Charles Manson or Koresh or one of these guys could dress and look like a Bill Clinton and talk like it and present themselves in public like that, because they're all charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
But what if they could channel that into politics? Charles Manson might be president because it's just the subject matter.
Look at some of his shoot interviews from 30 years ago where they're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but what he's saying comes to fruition almost 100%. You know, how fucking off is he? And he was mixing it up with all the top people in that sex cult that you're just talking about that way.
Yeah, but and that was the thing. Like, go back to the hippie era of free love, and everybody wanted to be in that fucking in crowd. And then even go back to the Church of Satan, Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah.
The black Jewish dude who everybody loved. That guy could do no wrong.
Boy, did he want to be accepted. Goes to Judaism, goes to Satanism. Can't get enough.
All these people showed up just to be at the parties, just to go, well, Sammy was there. Fucking go. He's down. He's cool. So now we have him. We have Jane Mansfield. We have all these people showing up. The number one people who, and that was the clique beyond the clique. That was, these people showed up at the Brown Derby. Ha, cool. But then they were at the fucking kayfabe Satan party, and now they're the real fucking parties. You know who to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And all these people, that's how they got their deal.
GGP, would you let Kevin Spacey molest you for a spot on House of Cards?
No.
Oh.
Okay.
I would let him.
Spacey finger in your asshole and put a chip in your wrist.
Maybe you asked him about the wrong TV show.
Oh, okay.
I think so. Anyhow.
Would you let Kevin Spacey molest you to take the Superplex Falcon Arrow
from at Mania? Let him have it at Mania.
Or a chip in your wrist.
Yeah.
Superman, buckle bomb, Superman punch.
But you got to sell for it for like a week.
Feet out. No, you don't. You don't have to sell it at all.
Who does that?
You know.
I'll just pull a Stevie. I won't sell shit.
Dude, you don't even watch the shows. I sell way more than any of these people. Stop it.
Oh man. I don't know, man. The multi-level marketing thing to me is interesting. How you can work that into a sexual harem. That's where I do got to put this guy over as genius.
Well, it's not really genius. It's manipulation, man. It doesn't take skill when you got people invested in a belief. I mean, look at all these fucking altar boys who got molested by priests. You think it took skills for these fucking priests to touch these little boys?
But think about it. I think about it this way. I've been in a fair amount of boardrooms, right? And usually there might be, if there's a meeting of 12 people, there might be 2 or 3 women. Imagine it's only you and they're all chicks, corporate level, and you're banging out 6 of them later that weekend. That's just an insane. That's what he's doing in Nexium. Like that's what their board.
I thought you said you.
Oh no, I said imagine.
You haven't seen Vin's pictures from the 90s, huh?
Oh yes, I have.
I almost put that one out there for the puberty challenge day, but I mixed it up with Little Hammy, and I thought it was funny.
It was funny. It was nice.
So, dude, I don't know. That's just, I try and wrap my head around that model. I can see when people are looking for self-improvement, how you can become a cult guru leader. But to take corporate multi-level marketing to that extreme, bravo.
Listen, man, just because you're wearing a suit and you sit in a boardroom doesn't make you any smarter than the guy who has a jackhammer
That's
is working
true.
for the city. At the end of the day, it's just another person who puts their pants on one leg at a time, and that's basically it. The fact that people can manipulate others and feed off of individuals is just, it's been going on since the beginning of time, dude.
I think they should give this guy the pen on the Divas division and get them all in line. If he can control 15 women in a boardroom that way while banging 6 of them and not have any major fallout, that guy's a hell of an agent, in my opinion.
Well, maybe he's an ass man. Who knows? But case in point, I mean, the end of the day, it all comes down to human nature. It all comes down to human nature. What we have encoded in our DNA, in our subconsciousness, whatever the case may be, there's something in us that wants us as a society to be part of something, to be more than what we are, to believe in something. There's no people today need to rely on something, whether it's religion, whether it's work, whether it's friends, whether it's sexuality, whatever the case may be. We said this in the beginning of the show. It's since the beginning of time. And it takes one person just to push the right button, and then it all falls down like dominoes, and people just, hey, see those 3 guys over there? He's partying with 2 hot chicks. Let's go hang out with him. And then all of a sudden, 3 becomes 6, and then 6 becomes 12, and it's a big freaking faction going on, and that's all it is. And then all of a sudden, like, they're all smiling. They're all having a good time. Oh, they're smoking weed. Oh, look at that. They're doing the shocker. Oh, look at that. They're drinking. That's what I want to be. I don't want to be here reading a Bible.
Dan Bilzerian,
You know what I mean?
that dude, right? Living that Instagram life. He could turn around and cult it up if he wanted to.
You know, some people are doing the lobster crawl. You know, I mean, it is what it is. But
Stevie, when was the first locker room you had to do the lobster crawling?
I have no idea what that is. I'm just learning this thing tonight. So
you really did not know the shocker?
I don't know what that is. No.
Come on, bro. Really?
Really? What is the problem?
Is your
I didn't
wife
get it.
nearby?
She's
that what's happening?
She's always nearby.
Yeah. She's worse than the NSA. Calm down.
So I will say, listen, when I wrestled, no matter what it was really just go to the building, try to avoid Taz for a few years, then try to avoid Bradshaw for a few years, then try to avoid Dixie for the other years, and then try to avoid Joe Cott. I mean, and then I would just play video games afterwards. That was the bane of my existence.
That's a cult too, right? The cult of video games, man.
How dare you? Well, me and Sal make a hell of a team on Far Cry 5.
Sal and I.
No, in Far Cry 5, it's Bizarro World. And we're going to do Red Dead Redemption 2 soon. We're going to clean up the West.
All right. One
Is
from
that
the
multiplayer? Is that multiplayer?
It's up now, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
one from the gender neutral messaging system. Then we're going to get out of here, guys, because we've got to go drink some antifreeze and howl at the moon. Ashton Drake is the subject from Brian Hauser. Dear Horsemen, I've heard you guys discussing the normalization of pedophilia. I'd say sex with oil, but maybe petrophilia.
Yeah.
On numerous occasions. Recently, I heard of a site selling anatomically correct kid dolls. Now, I know they can pass this off by marketing them so kids can fully relate to what they are playing with. But really, how can anyone not see through that? You know that there are adults out there buying these for themselves. My question is, how can they get away with it and selling these without someone objectifying? It doesn't tell me what type of phone he sent it from. Yeah, man.
Because it's ma'am.
It's an interesting postulate as we move into the world of animatronic sex with sex dolls, and obviously to fill the sickening need of pedophiles. Is it reinforcing and normalizing their behavior, or is it giving them an outlet where they're not harming anybody? It's an interesting discussion. I'd like the third choice to be all sales are tracked, and that's where we hunt you down wherever it's shipped to.
Anything pure will be fucking corrupted. That's just bottom line. When they turned around and made anatomically correct dolls, and we're going to make this, number one, kids are going to learn about this, and you could treat this kid like a real kid. So for little girls, this is back in the day before, nobody send me a fucking email, I don't care. Back in the day before it was bad to make little girls want to raise families, and the boys would play with G.I. Joes or whatever the fuck they did. It wasn't a thing. Like, nobody thought about that. Nobody cared. And if it was an anatomically correct doll, you learned about that the proper way because your parents said, hey, that's this, end of story. Now, anything like that will be...
He's excited, yeah.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah.
That'll just automatically be corrupted by some asshole who's like, I'm going to fuck this baby vagina doll.
Yeah, but now they're actually making them. It's not just like, a happenstance thing.
Now somebody decided that's an untouched market. And they're like, well, it's pretty controversial. Yeah, but we'll get fucking publicity either way.
Yeah, but
so
what's the answer? Like, is it a deterrent from someone with pedophile tendencies not harming a human being, a child, and getting that out of that way? Is that all right? Or is it wrong to even have it because we're normalizing and reinforcing the behavior?
Then we'll go into we'll go into the Ted Bundy bullshit of, does porn create serial killers?
Do violent video games increase the chance of mass shootings?
Penn and Teller proved that shit 3 years ago.
It normalizes it. It's interesting. Stevie, what do you think on the doll front?
Oh man, I don't know. There's a whole they could get rid of that now and lumping it right in with all the other yes ma'am stuff and all the other things,
Sure.
objectifying it. Now that they have babies, and now that the New York distributed, I think the first.
Well, you have to. It's up to you to ask your 18-month-old if they want to have sex or not to be consensual.
Well, now what's the new sex? You can be
X.
Gender X? Fucking X. There you go.
Here's the comparison right here. If people follow me on Twitter, basically I'll put up subject matter like I talk about body dysmorphia, I'll talk about some fitness topics, some a little bit serious here and there, and open up on my YouTube channel, and probably 50% of the time the video gets marked as not suitable for advertisers, and I have to put in a manual review, and eventually they accept it, but it's flagged right away. Now, from what I understand from my research is the TED Talk talking about pedophilia being normal is still a fully monetized video and has never been. It comes up in related videos on just about any topic. So it's something they're pushing. So I'm looking at MacBook Pro videos. I see it on the side. I look at friggin' NFL highlight videos. It's on the side. Well, that might make sense. WWE one. WWE highlight videos. It's over there. But I'm just saying, this video, probably 80 to 90% of the time, is over in some sort of video that's being pushed in a related video or a recommended video or something. And I don't even watch conspiracy videos having to do with that because it's just so disturbing. I don't even want to think about it unless we address it here. I go back in my history. I look at even the conspiracy stuff that I look at. The closest thing is Eddie Bravo and Joe Rogan shuts them down. So it's really a weird thing that this video here, this specific video, and then other ones where, do you ever see the ones where the adults are sitting down with their children and kind of it's sort of weird and creepy with explaining, and then you got the guy who basically the drag queen who's story time hour with the kids.
Yeah.
That's a fully monetized video,
dude.
It's very strange, very not strange. It's very
it's very telling. It's very telling
Yeah.
of their agenda of what passes and what doesn't for monetization. Absolutely, a way to judge and built into the algorithm. It's not like it's going before any kangaroo court. Just happened that way. GGP, I got a feeling you're on the same side as me. Put a wood chipper in the genitals and let them go to work.
Absolutely. it's disgusting. Okay, the fact that we live in a world today that if you mention God, Jesus Christ, or if you're a Trump supporter, you get crucified, you get banned off of Twitter. But then you have people going on there talking about being sexual with underage children, and that's fine. That doesn't get abolished. That doesn't get cast to the side, and that doesn't get sent to the land of misfits. That's acceptable. The fact that you have individuals nowadays going around saying, "Hey, you need to ask your children if it's okay for you to change their diaper," is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Call me conservative, call me freaking old school. It's very simple. When it comes to gender, it's biology. You're either male or female. We are a binary species. What you identify with, hey, if that makes you happy, you want to be a tree, then be a tree. But
I am
don't.
Groot.
I am Groot. But don't force your ideals on the minors, because a child is influenced heavily by the society and their surroundings. So, case in point, now you turn on television, every show, there is a transgender guy. There is a homosexual individual who's on the show. There's a gay couple, and they're forcing their ideals down their throats so children can see and say it's acceptable, it's okay. Listen, if you're a homosexual, cool. I have no problems with homosexuals. I have no problems with people who are transgender. I have no problems if you're a drag queen. But at the same time, you're forcing your ideas on individuals who are very easily manipulated mentally because they're still young. They're still adolescents. That, I believe, is not nice and is not right, because you don't see the other side of the spectrum coming here and saying, hey, don't like that guy because he's not straight. Or don't like that girl because she has a short haircut and she lives with another woman.
They are saying that, though. That's the exact argument of white privilege and every other goddamn thing
white
now.
privilege is not real, because look at the four of us.
I'm not saying either way, man, but the argument of them not doing it, they are doing. They're judging one hand and doing the opposite completely with their agenda on the other, where they try and get away with things like that. I'm totally in agreement with the situation you set up, though.
But as far as this little boy robot gimmick going, if you eat steak every day of the week, after a certain amount of time, you're gonna want some chicken. You're gonna want something different. One of these fucking guys is gonna end up banging a little freaking kid robot.
Yeah.
And what's gonna happen is he's gonna say, you know what? I want to see what a real one feels like, because it's been too long and I'm tired of this. Yeah, and that's exactly what's gonna happen. It's not gonna adhere their wants and their needs. Absolutely not. It's not going to put them in a point where they're going to say, well, it's okay, I'm not going to touch. No, it's going to make them want it more.
It's normalizing objective behavior based on societies.
Absolutely.
If this was Greece 3,000 years ago, different story, but
maybe
not necessarily what's going on.
But
right
just to touch base and come full circle here, even with all this, lefty view, liberal thought process, extreme liberal thought process, where you have to include everybody, and God forbid you go against the grain and you say what you feel, that itself is becoming cult-like as well.
Well, the pendulum will swing back. It's gonna. I mean, not to stick up for Louis C.K. and what he's doing, but he's actually making a move worker-wise in comedy to push, saying whatever it is, going back to saying, words like faggot and retard in his act, to push it back to that Andrew Dice Clay shock value. As the pendulum swings one way, it's going to come back the other. So I think while he knew he was on the chopping block for whatever, jerking off in front of somebody or whatever he did, I don't even know. When it comes to the comedy side of the censorship of SJWs, he's making a conscious choice to say, all right, you're going to push it back this way. Well, we can push back that way too. So that's interesting to me of what's going on right now.
Yeah, but to me, whichever side of the fence you're on, when you're too far gone, and you're an extreme either on a certain topic, viewpoint, you're wrong. you're
I don't
wrong.
know, dude. My whole shtick is all as extreme as it goes when I'm Hameen, and it's to get the point across of 9/11 truth and military-industrial complex and how women are oppressed in Islam. So I'm hitting pretty hard on all cylinders. I see what you're saying, but to make that choice and commit to the bit, to put a statement over on where we're going to be morality-wise, that everything is open for discussion if you approach it in the right way, even if it's extreme comedy, it's there.
No, but listen, what I'm saying is this. You'll have certain individuals on one side of the fence saying, well, listen, you can't say this and that because it offends people, okay? But then you have people on the other side of the fence that says, well, I'm going to say this every day, every waking minute of my life in front of whoever and whenever and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That is wrong as well. Because, again, whatever the person says can offend somebody, but there is a time and a place. If you're sitting in a place, case in point, Louis C.K., sitting in a room full of adults, and he's dropping N-bombs, and he's dropping, saying retard and this and that, and just stereotypical jokes, and everyone's laughing, fine, because it's all comedy, right? But if he's saying the same routine in front of teenagers and kids in junior high school and kids in elementary school, then, hey, bud, put the brakes on. Know your role. There's a time and place for everything, but you can't ban it. You can't just say, hey, you can never say that. It's not nice.
I like your point. I can't disagree with it. That's very good. Sal, you want to add something?
Well, I just want to just to kind of normalize this a little bit about how kids are influenced, just parents-wise. Before I gave a fuck about any of this, I grew up a Mets fan because my dad was a Mets fan.
Yeah.
I had, I could give a fuck about baseball.
Gary Carter was over. You got to put Gary Carter over.
But that's the thing. I couldn't give a fuck about baseball, but because my dad was a Mets fan. He was an electrician, so we got to go to the Mets games all the time. We got to sit in the fucking cool seats. Fuck the Mets. The Mets are the shits. But it was who my dad, told us. Well, you're a Mets fan. Why am I a Mets fan? I live in Queens. Who cares?
Indoctrinated.
Right. But that's how all this happens. And if I'll be honest, back in the day, in fucking 138, I was a Mets fan. And if somebody was like, Yankees, we're going to fight. We're going to fucking fight. Because I didn't give a fuck. I didn't know, but I knew I was a Mets fan.
Yeah.
Now, were you a Mets fan because your father told you to be a Mets fan? Or were you a Mets fan because you wanted to please your father and you didn't want to let him down?
Both. That's
Okay.
both. Because it's there. And my father never said, you got to be a Mets fan. But I saw people who weren't Mets fans. He would give them a raft of shit. And I don't want my dad busting my balls. So I was a Mets fan. And again, I don't care about baseball. Even as a kid, I could give less than a fuck about baseball. But we went to all the games, had a great time.
You didn't play Little League at Rosedale?
I did. I played every year. We won the fucking World Series every goddamn year. But
with Marvin the umpire?
But that's the whole point.
People are on there. Other parents like, that kid cannot be 12 years old. He's got to be 18. Look at us. He's 6'4". God damn it.
That's why I wasn't allowed to play. I wasn't allowed to play football for that either. But again, this is on such a small scale compared to now. The stakes are so much higher.
Mm.
It's just, I was a Mets fan because my dad said it was cool to be a Mets fan.
Well,
That's all it took. Now these kids, you grow up, and your mom is telling you, oh hey, if somebody looks at you this way, that's rape. And you're like, oh shit, that's rape. If somebody says something to me this way, oh shit, that's infringing. That's infringing on my personal space. I feel threatened. You're going to grow up to be a giant pussy. So, you know what I mean? Like, this is how you're going to grow up, the way you're being imprinted on as a kid, and you don't know any better. You don't understand how wrong you are.
Agreed, and that's basically the trophy for everybody society that we live in today. Because back in the day, when people were hard as nails and they didn't show any emotion, the kids grew up saying, "I'm not going to be like my parents because I want to I want to play with my kids. I want to be my kid's friend." And that's why we're in the situation where we are now, where parents aren't parents, they're friends, and then things get all disorganized, and the hierarchy of the family obviously doesn't exist anymore. But regardless of that fact, what I wanted to touch base before the CTE kicks in is that, don't you think it's quote unquote coincidental that this is scenario about the little kid robots and all this stuff about TED Talks about pedophilia and accepting people for what they are, and they should be okay because it's not their fault, they're the victims. You don't think it's funny that all that's coming out now through the liberal media exactly when Pizzagate dropped and all this WikiLeaks came out, and Podesta stuff is coming out, and all of a sudden all these who's that old lady judge who wanted to lower the age of consent to 12, 13 years old. Man, she looked,
isn't it?
Ginsburg, yeah,
Darth
right?
Vader Ginsburg, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man, we always say, do your research, look at everything from every angle. But the fact that all this stuff is one degree of separation away from each other is not a coincidence. Something is not right. And it doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative. At the end of the day, religion, entertainment, and politics is all ruled by people who manipulate other people through sexuality, and a lot of it is pedophilia, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think you put the pieces together perfectly there as bounce back GG pieces, bounce back campaign to the smear campaign that was up against him, and whether it's NAMBLA or whatever organization behind the scene that these bigwigs belong to, they are the ones who are pushing that when it comes to get back to these sex toys. When it comes to legalized brothels with sex robots, I'm with an adult choice, I'm fine with that. But once you start mixing kids, be it a sex doll, into any conversation that way, I can't put it over.
Real dolls made to look like young prepubescent kids.
I'd say they have to look, there has to be some type of standard.
No, they've made the prepubescent real
No,
dolls.
that's what I'm saying. They should not exist. That's my opinion in that, because like GGP said, if it's going to lead one person to cross that line, then it's not, there's no way around it that way. Big Steve Areno, take us home on this one.
What was that? Was that echo? What happened? I got nothing. You guys covered everything.
Yeah, man.
Like I said, it's a very uncomfortable topic to even
I
think
didn't
about.
even get into the Mexican cult, what they did to that pre-med student. All in the name of escaping the law to, so they can be invisible to law enforcement. That's what they believed.
Seems to work. You can do what you want in Mexico, it seems.
You gotta see the shit they fucking did, and you can find pictures and everything of what they did to that pre-med student who came across the border in Matamoros just for to hang out for the night, disappeared, never came back. Brutal shit.
We don't practice Santeria, and we ain't got no crystal ball, infidels, but we got some stuff to plug before we take it home. Great conversation tonight about cults. It's all about what somebody really wants down deep: friendship, sexuality, power, belonging, and if there's someone charismatic enough to take advantage of that and give it to them and provide it, well, you can rewire them to pretty much do whatever you want, it seems, on any level, from castrating yourself for a comment to drinking some Kool-Aid after shooting a senator. But ya Allah, man, that's about it for me on this one. Stevie, where can they go to look like GGP and you?
Well, I'll tell you what, Stevie Richards Fitness is not. It's not a cult. It's
No.
Actually, it'll never be that. I can safely say I will never turn Stevie Richards Fitness into a cult.
I think if you're saying that, I feel like you're
You kind of are. That's the
Kind of,
step
yeah,
one.
that's
That's
what a
act
cult leader
one.
would
That's act
say.
one.
It's not me. It's the resistance band God.
you're part of the resistance.
Yes. The resistance.
Join the resistance.
That's actually a good. I'm gonna write that down.
welcome.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
got him again.
That's yours, guy.
So go to SteveRichardsFitness.com. 16-week resistance band training program, and actually the 12-week is kind of resurging back since Vince Russo. That's the first workout program he's done in a while, so he's on the 12. But the 16-week is an excellent one. If you have any questions about either one or what might be right for you, please send me an email, StevieRichardsFitness@gmail.com. Also follow me on Twitter at BWFStevie, at Stevie Richards on Instagram, ProWrestlingTees.com/Stevie Richards, and also go to my YouTube channel, please. We got almost 35,000 subscribers now, so it's been
Nice.
steadily growing, and we're one step closer to getting shadow banned. So thank everybody out there for everything.
Are you doing Jacob Israel's show soon?
We tried to do it all last week on OBS, but he is very technically unproficient, and he got very frustrated very quickly.
Okay.
And so I just let him do his stream that he did last week. It's supposed to be last Friday. Might be this Friday. I don't know.
Well, we'll see. Maybe reach out and get him back on with us in the next month or so. I'd like to have him on, see what's going on with him. But yeah, you guys check out all the stuff at BWO Stevie on Twitter, at Stevie Richards on Instagram, ProWrestlingTees.com/Stevie Richards, and obviously StevieRichardsFitness.com. You guys, you can catch him on Russo brand and Hacker Hameen brand on the Locker Room shows and the Raw and SmackDown review as well.
Do you want us to plug what we might be doing?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Well, I got a couple requests from the Celeb VM service. You do celebrity video messages, and they actually wanted Out of Touch Vince for their thing. So Ben and I are considering actually for people that want, that kind of message, birthday, this or that, and we'll do a little like mini Master Shoot Theater on the person. What's that?
What's that, pal? What'd you say? Vince and I? Is that what you said, you son of a bitch? You don't ever correct my English, goddammit. I'll make sure you never work here again. You're never going to get a job in NXT. No place, goddammit. You can take the young sucks and go goddamn work in another parking lot all summer long for all I care, goddammit.
So that's a small sample of what you'll get. There you go. Good job.
Thank you. Big Sal, new episode of Horror Junkyard out last week. They can send suggestions to where to you, buddy?
The Horror Junkyard at protonmail.com. That is the server, right? It is the secure one. That's right. We just did Cooties. We covered last week where the prepubescent kids are turned into zombies with the rage virus.
Are they robot kids?
No, and none of them were fucked. So this is totally cool. Despite Elijah Wood being in the movie.
Dude, he's probably been molested up and down Hollywood Boulevard.
So many times. He's had that fucking mouth finger fucked all please. And we're covering the next episode. We're going to cover Mom and Dad with Nick Cage and Selma Blair.
Okay.
Which is basically the parents wanting to kill their kids. So it's kind of a follow-up. Yeah, it's an amazing. It's a very weird movie. But this month we're doing the All Up in a Rage for Cage because we're going to cover Mom and Dad, and then we're going to do Mandy. All right. So it's going to be some Nick Cage action.
Yeah, well, you guys got big stars. They're not super B films, just early on in their career.
No, these are super B films.
Well, they're not B actors.
Cage has to pay all. That motherfucker was buying islands and everything when he was over. He's got to pay off a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and
he's like the Ric Flair of Hollywood, from what I hear. He spends more than he makes.
Yeah, and he is such a huge fucking comic mark that he has to get his comic knowledge over every fucking movie. He's got to put the little throw-ins
because he wants to be in those Avengers shit so bad. Fuck. But they're like
Spider-Man. He's actually Spider-Man Noir in the new Spider-Man animated film. He's really good at it too.
But like you can't put him in a real movie because people are gonna be like Nick Cage, like Nick Cage, know what I mean?
Fuck off, I'm out.
Yep.
If you've ever gotten a chance to check him out as Superman in his costume test.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, talk about just fucking.
Well, that documentary is really interesting.
Talk about self-chemical castration.
The Superman Lives documentary, like that is really good. Like the movie they wanted to make where Superman wouldn't fly or wear the suit.
Yeah.
Oh God, they kind of got that in Superman Returns anyway. You never throw a punch.
The movie sucked.
Yeah, it was bad.
If you look up Kevin Smith's shit. Well, when Kevin Smith wrote it, and they wanted the big giant spider robot, and fucking Tim Burton was going to do it, and never actually read a comic or knew any of this bit.
John Peters was a hairstylist and somehow became a producer. That you connect the dots, going off what we just talked about.
GGP, master of hairstyles himself, whether it's facial or the top of the head, he always looking clean. What do you got going on? NYWC, you said? Anything else down there? What's up?
Yeah, the 19th of January, I will be at the ECWA in good old Delaware, where I'll be wrestling Azrael. And I knew you were going to do it. That's what I was waiting for. So I'm looking forward to that. I haven't been in that place in a while. Had a good run there. So I'm looking forward to going back. And I'm actually a babyface there, which is weird, but cool. And then the 26th, I'll be at NYWC. Myself, my tag team partner, Talon. I think we're wrestling Alex Reynolds and John Silver, the Beaver Boys. So it should be a good show overall, but I'm looking forward to that match because every time I get in the ring with John Silver and Alex Reynolds, we always tear it up. So that's it for as far as January. February, I'm not sure what I have. I know I have NYWC at the end of the month at their Psycho Circus event, which is like their WrestleMania. They pack like 700 people in that little building.
Yeah.
So they just fucking ripping off Kiss shit? Is that what's going on?
Well, Mikey came up with it. I guess he based it off the Kiss song. I don't know. But the Psycho Circus is like a weird match. It's like half cage, half barbed wire ring.
Did you see
crazy.
that promo I produced for Mondo that went for Psycho Circus up in my camp where he takes off on the snowmobile at like 100 miles an hour?
Yeah, dude, that was funny.
That was the
Shout
first
out to
time he
Mike
ever
Mondo.
rode. I thought he was going to fucking blast it into a tree. I was like, dude, just I know it's dark out there, but you just got to hammer it.
Don't
It's a
Sonny
straightaway.
Bono that shit.
Yeah, dude. Because otherwise it's going to look pussy if you just putter away on it. I was like, you got to fucking let her have it. He's like, all right, Sheik, I'm going to do it. You got it? You ready to go? And he cuts the promo and he's like, yeah, baby. Throws on the visor, one pull, drills the gas, and fucking off he goes. I was like, yes. One
That's
and
how
done.
motherfuckers die.
Just send Mondo off into the dark in the woods on a fucking 650 triple. Like, let's go for it, Mike. 0 to 80 in 4 seconds. Fucking
We
hey,
can
man.
laugh because we know Mondo. Dude.
Yeah,
we know
man.
Mondo well, so
He
it's
killed
just-
it though. If you can, if that promo's out there on YouTube. If you can find it, it'd be Mike Mondo's Psycho Circus NYWC. It's damn funny. It pops me every time.
And then March 2nd,
MWC.
NYWC.
Okay.
and then March 2nd, I'll be down in Florida, Ronin, defending my championship against Gangrel. So I'm looking
Nice.
forward to that.
Cool, man.
And then I wrestled him, so
Check them out. A lot of great matches coming your way. Main events, semi-main events, because that's what we work around here, Infidels. I might do a run-in at Immortal when I feel like it. I know they got shows in February and January coming up, so you never know who I might come in and smash down with the Hameen flag. Defending my tag titles in March with Congo Kong at Crossfire. So really just
we
keeping
still
it.
tag champions?
What's that?
Are we still tag champions?
I got the belt, so unless anybody wants to come over and take them in the front lawn, then we'll see how well they do. But yeah, man, everything's going down here at hackerhameen.podbean.com. We're going to work on some new shows for you. New hosts kind of getting switched up. If you didn't catch Master Shoot Theater at Russo Brand this week, I definitely recommend it. It's worth the money. Just having a lot of fun with this stuff, guys, and we're having jokes that are kind of ongoing week to week, so I don't want you to not be a part of the clique, the Russo Brand cult, the Hameen cult, Infidels, where we rule supreme. And that's right, when I say jump, you say how high, Infidels, and I say ProWrestlingTees.com/Bin Hameen. Get your official Conspiracy Horseman gear or be left behind when the comet comes through. YOLO!